Hello. Welcome to our meeting tonight. Thank you for your patience with me. We're at the Beverly Middle School. Today is Wednesday, January 14th. Time is now 6:16. This is a meeting of the Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life, aka CISL meeting. We are meeting in a hybrid remote format so that we can make accessibility more possible for the public. This is permitted under the January 16th, 2021, Chapter 20, Acts of 2021, that have been extended multiple times. We provide real-time access to our community thanks to BevCam, who is broadcasting and streaming us. We also have the option for resident voice. At this time, I'd like to call to order, and then we can begin with the pledge. Okay. Catherine Frost? Yes. Okay. Madeline Lennox?
Yes.
Erin Brown?
Yes.
Derek Brennan?
Yes.
Dr. Peter Cushing? We don't have 3 citizen reps yet. Do we have all 3 student reps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 student reps. And if I pronounce your last name, I apologize. Please feel free to correct me. Isaac Bosse?
Yes.
Did I say it correctly?
Yep.
Thank you for being here. Sadie Brennan?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Tyler Koshik? Not here. Okay. Henry Weller?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Victoria De La Cruz?
Present.
Thank you for being here. And Casey Fiore?
Here.
Thank you. We're going to call to order at 6:18 p.m. If I can ask Mr. Fiore to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One second, please. Okay, so the first order of business is approval of the minutes from the December 10th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion? Just a first, and then you can do a second. Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. And then if I can get a second, I can open it up for discussion.
Second.
Is there any discussion before we vote to approve the minutes? Okay, so that passes. Let's see. Second order of business is introduction to CISL for new members of the Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life. Is that you? Okay.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight, and I am excited to work with new members of the committee as well as existing members of the committee. And so we will start, as we do every meeting. Let's see if this is now not moving, so there we go, with our student life updates. So if we could have student life updates from the high school.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all had a great vacation. There's been a lot going on at the high school, so I'm sure if any of you have kids or friends at the high school, you know that quarter 2 and in that semester 1 are coming to a close with midterms being next week, which is very exciting, especially for us seniors. Boys basketball has a 5-2 record right now, and they're playing at TD Garden this weekend, so that's definitely one you don't want to miss. The senior prom location will be at Willowdale State in Topsfield this year, which is beautiful. Tickets are said to be $80 again this year, which is very nice considering how much more expensive our prom was this year. But in that, lots of students have been super engaged in fundraising efforts, and just being involved all around. It's been really great to see. The chorus classes at the high school have been beginning to prepare for their MICA competition, which we'll be attending in early March, which is very exciting. And BHS Stage Right Drama Department is gearing up for their annual Drama Fest competition, and we wish those groups luck.
Thank you.
All right, I'm Isaac. I'm the representative from the junior grade at class of 27. As Sadie mentioned, midterms are next week, and most of the teachers have been signing study packets and midterm projects that most of us are working pretty hard on. The class of 27, the student class, government class of 27, is in the process of booking a photo booth and a DJ. Sorry, a DJ for the junior prom. Most of the prom is currently planned, but once we get the price for food, music, and pictures, we can send the price of the tickets out on the social media accounts. And then once again, the prom will be on May 8th, and we're looking forward to putting it on. Moving over to performing arts, the spring musical started rehearsals around a week ago, and the BHS 2026 music trip fundraisers for cookies were made available last week, so people could go in and raise a little extra money for the trip. And on the topic of the trip, we actually have an update on the waitlist situation this year. The department has acquired a smaller third vehicle to accommodate everyone else who is currently on the waitlist. So now everyone attending the trip should be able to go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move over to our middle school representatives.
Hi, I'm Victoria, and I'm very glad to be able to share what's been going on on 8 Hale for the past month. So in English, we're continuing to read The Outsiders by S.C. Hinton and watching bits of the movie. We're also preparing to write a paragraph about how a poem mentioned in the story connects to the characters. Along with that, 8th grade has been getting a lot of visits from high schoolers talking about their high school experiences, one of them being the music department or band, chorus, and strings. Yesterday, 2 high school students shared with us about how the music program in high school works, and they talked about many different ways to be involved in music in high school. And to continue, the entire 8th grade has been buzzing over the upcoming red carpet dance. The dance will be held on February 12th from 6 to 8, and the admission will be $20, which will include a slice of pizza and a drink, and lots of fun activities like karaoke and dancing and like a quiet room, I think. And yeah, just lots of fun. And last but not least, the National Junior Honor Society applications have just been due on the 10th, and Jazz Band is preparing for some upcoming gigs like playing for the elderly at the BCOA and playing at Backbeat Brewing near the train station. And yeah, that's my update. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Henry. Thank you so much for having me this evening. I really appreciate it. I'm from A Cabot, and I want to talk about a lot of stuff we've been picking up after the break. We started off learning about a lot of new interesting topics, including in French. We are doing a fun project where you have to make your ideal room and label furniture and other objects. In science, we are learning about asexual and sexual reproduction and also natural selection in the environment. And today, high school students came in to give a presentation on BHS cheerleading and how much fun it is. Thank you.
Great, thank you all very much. Typically at this time we say we know there's midterms to study for and different things, so thank you. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, or you can go and do homework or other fun things. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on in our report here tonight. As you could see in the agenda, talking a little bit about what is Curriculum Instruction Student Life Committee. And so I thought I'd put together a few things for everyone here to kind of go over. So thinking about this committee, it regularly reviews all things that have to do with, as it says, curriculum instruction and student life, but really looking at curriculum adoption across the district as well as implementation, which is looking at the strategies that are used to implement the curriculum across the district. And that is closely connected with our school improvement plans, which that is part of. This committee will listen to the school improvement plans by each of the principals later in the year, as well as looking at achievement data. So MCAS data has already been presented, and district data has been presented in terms of last year, but we will also review kind of in-district data that we have as we get later in the spring. We look at district assessments the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, and the end of the year, and so we will have information to report regarding assessment information. So we also look at initiatives that are that were developed to enhance student life across the district. So I'll talk about topics that we've come up with for this year, but also, you know, I'm looking forward to meeting with our new members. We have communicated about having some meeting and talking about their interests as well. As it says, we also look to develop and revise and approve policies that support instructional quality. So, for example, at the beginning of this year, we needed to look at, it was required by the state, at looking at a middle school CTE awareness policy. That's something that came up that this group looked at and voted upon. We also are required to review policies every 5 years, so we're on a schedule to do that. So tonight we have a couple of policies that we'll look at as well, and we try and do a couple of policies in each meeting so that it's not too much at any one time. And finally, we look at, you know, any curriculum adoption as well as textbooks, resources that usually goes with adoption, any new programs. We look at program of studies, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and student handbooks. Those are some of the things that this body will do. Moving forward, in particular, our annual reviews that we need to do at this meeting is our assessment information, which is MCAS, and district level assessments. Program of studies for the high school will be coming up shortly, which is, again, oversight includes approving any new courses, retirement of existing courses, and any graduation requirements. So we've done a lot of work this year on that piece of graduation requirements and the competency determination. Dr. Cushing has done a lot of that work, and we've brought that here and to the whole committee. Student handbooks, they will be presented as well at this group for review and approval, as they function as kind of an extension of district policy. And as I said, the school improvement plan. So we look at our school improvement plans, we update our plans, and they're closely connected to the district improvement plan and strategic plan. So that's a little bit about the annual reviews. Additional information, in general, agenda topics are established through a committee survey conducted at the beginning of the year that I send out. I usually try and meet with you during the summer as well to talk about what your priorities are, and then we kind of put it out in a survey and adjust as needed to address emerging issues, like the competency determination we talked about that came up over late in the summer that we needed to address during the beginning of the year. And finally, please submit any questions regarding agenda topics in advance so we can have responses for you at meetings if possible, or if you have any questions, anything, just, you know, myself and Ms. Visnick, as the chair of this committee, can certainly work on any agenda items or questions that you might have. So that's just a little bit of background information on CISL and kind of some of the things we'll be doing here tonight and throughout the rest of this year. I have asked tonight, before I move on to that, I forgot one more thing. These are the remaining topics for this year. You see on the left-hand side, we'll be looking at high school program of studies, school improvement plans, and student handbooks. We'll get some updates on health, wellness, world language, and math, curriculum, specially designed instruction, that's referring to special ed instruction across the district in terms of instructional interests. Planned discourse you'll hear a little bit about tonight from some of our guest speakers, and reading strategies you will also hear about tonight. So we try and do a few of these types of updates at each meeting, coupled with required topics. And finally, student life interests that were from the committee. BMS clubs and activities. We had an amazing presentation from the high school on their clubs and activities last month. And it's wonderful to see how involved everyone is and how important those activities are for students and their student life in the school community. So we'll have an update on that coming in the spring. And then Essex Tech After Dark and Salem CTE experiences. Those are experiences that students have in the district. So just sharing some of that with the committee so that you're kind of aware of all the different facets of programming that we have across the district. So next I would like to invite up Jennifer Thomas and Paul Casey. They are our curriculum directors at the high school. Thank you, Derek, for giving them one of those. And I asked them to come here tonight to give you a historical kind of look at what's been happening in terms of curriculum adoption and implementation across the district for the last 5+ years. Since we came out of the COVID epidemic, we had curriculum adoption that happened as well as implementation. And that takes time to determine what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And so I thought it would be good for them to share that information with you and what that has looked like at the high school level, but also as a model of Dr. Flaherty, who was my predecessor in this position, had used across the district for looking at how we adopt a curriculum, what it is, and how we implement it. So I asked them to share some of that information with us tonight. So thank you very much both for being here, and I look forward to your presentation. And just tell me next when I need to forward the slides.
All right. So as it was mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm Paul Casey. I'm the Humanities Director at the high school.
Jennifer Thomas, the STEM Director at the high school.
All right. And as it was mentioned, we thought that this was a good opportunity to bring to the new committee really the ways that curriculum is adopted for us at the high school, but also this would be a representation of how it's adopted at other schools as well. Admittedly, we've gone through kind of some trials and tribulations of curriculum adoption, and we're happy to share those with you and what we're doing moving forward.
Oh, yeah, next one, thanks. I watched him click. So I guess the nuts and bolts of our work is to ensure that all students have access to high quality instructional material. And this is supported through the DESE and the Department of Ed. So they do a lot of work on their end to give us a list of curriculum resources that meet the state standards. So we have choices to work with, and then we bring those choices in-house to our teachers and our students. And so we look at what we have currently for resources and compare that to what's coming up with high quality instructional material that the state has approved for us to use with our students. So we work through a process of evaluating and selecting new material. We lead the teachers through implementation of that material. And then we're also looking at this to ensure vertical coherence. I think one thing that is really impacted is that we're getting everyone on the same page. So, you know, your students could have one of 4, let's say Algebra 1 teachers. So it's important that all students in that Algebra 1 class have access to the same material, the same standards, the same level of rigor. And so by adopting these curriculum resources, we're able to streamline that for the teachers and the students.
So what we're going to do next is kind of walk through the last really 6 years of curriculum adoption. And as you can see, we've highlighted it based on kind of backwards chronological order. So year 6 or 6 years ago, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, was our adoption of our history curriculum, which we currently have, and that was adopted during COVID. We are in our 5th year of our Reveal math curriculum. Pre-calculus and calculus are in their 4th year, and we are in our 3rd year for much of our science curriculum, as well as our English curriculum. What's not listed here is actually within our 1st year, our health and wellness and foreign languages curriculum was adopted this year. We won't be speaking about that today. However, it's gone through the same processes. So now I'm going to go in reverse order and start with the most recent adoptions. And what we're going to talk about is the implementation, how it went, and the steps that we took to adopt this curriculum. A few years ago, I was here in front of the school committee requesting the new English curriculum be adopted. And how this was adopted was through teachers piloting new texts. So we had a committee that was put together. It was a volunteer committee of many of our English teachers, representation from all 4 grades, who explored different texts that were being read across a number of different districts. Our main goal with this curriculum adoption was to diversify our text selection. We had a number of archaic texts, Shakespearean texts, more classics within our curriculum at the time, and there was a need to adopt texts that not only fell in those categories, but also fell into more modern categories where students of our diverse background could see themselves in the text that they were reading. Another goal of this adoption, which we accomplished, was to make sure that of all the books that we did have, there were enough books in the building that every single student that was reading that book could take the book home and read it home. And that's something that we've maintained over the last 3 years and we're very, very proud of. So previously to this, our English curriculum, we might have had, say, 40 copies of Death of a Salesman in the building. And teachers were asking, hey, who has the Death of a Salesman copies? I need them for this class. And then they would hold on to them. And, then when they were done teaching them, somebody else could have them. And there was no consistency across the building as far as what books kids were actually reading and learning from. Now, for instance, the Nickel Boys, which you see here, we have 350 copies of that book. So every single sophomore that reads that book can read it at the same time and can physically take that book home. So it's something that we're very, very proud of. Just to go back, that committee piloted these books for a full year. Each member that was represented at each grade level, they collected data on those books, subjective data from what was being taught, but also data from the students and what they thought about the books. Then they presented that to their colleagues in a content meeting. The content group decided that which books they wanted to go with. I then brought it to the school committee for final approval. With these texts, what we're doing and concurrently doing and have been doing for the last 3 years is using them to align our standards, our skills standards from 9 to 12. And now what we're trying to take a look at is those individual standards and what they look like from 9th grade through 12th grade. Finally, as far as data goes for this adoption, we have our satellite data, which is our MCAS scores, and in 2024, 2 years after this adoption, or a year after this adoption, we actually saw our highest growth in ELA scores in over a decade, which we're very, very proud of. And that's kind of like data that you can point to and say, not definitively it is 100% obviously because of this adoption, but we like to think that, students reading every day, students reading at home every single day can only lead to better scores in reading and writing. Last year, I was able to bring to the school committee kind of street data that we took from students. And we asked students if they consider themselves a reader before they entered Beverly High School. We saw about 40% said yes. After 1 year at Beverly High School, do you consider yourself a reader? We saw about 65% say yes. We then asked them, how many books outside of the curriculum in school have you read? And 77% of students had read at least one book in addition to the books that they read in school. I like to think that if a high school student is reading any additional books beyond the books they're reading in school, they should consider themselves a reader. So we're very proud of this adoption. It was one of the later adoptions, so I think we had learned from some of the other adoptions, what worked and what maybe we were tripped up on, and this one was done with a lot of success.
Okay, science. So I guess with curriculum alignment, like he was saying, we researched the materials and figure out which one we're going to adopt. We went through the adoption. Most recently, we did biology, chemistry, anatomy, physiology, and forensics. And I had come to the school committee to present which companies we were going to go with. For example, the anatomy and physiology book that we had was a physical textbook, I think that was 30 years old in the classroom. So really updating the resources for the students and the teachers. All of these, we do have in-class textbooks, hard copies, but most of these have a digital component to them, so students are able to log in at home to do reading or complete reading guides. A lot of them have animations that support some of the more challenging science topics as well. Along with the adoption, I just want to highlight, we go through a lot of work on updating maps and scope and sequences. So we try to get all of our teachers aligned in like teaching the same topics and highlighting the priority standards that students are going to need to know for these things. So if you walk into any biology class on a given day, you'll notice that they're all teaching about mitosis. So you'll see it being done a little bit differently, or the activities maybe that teachers are using are a little bit differently, but they're all covering the same core concepts. And then with this, we do meet with the teachers during some professional learning communities so that they can share the activities with each other that they're doing. So, you know, did this work really well? Are the kids getting the information that they need for this? What could we tweak in the future in terms of learning? We also have developed benchmark assessments that go along with these scope and sequences. So we're monitoring student progress for meeting the state standards throughout the year. We've also developed common assessments for the students as well. I just wanted to highlight some local grants too with science. We've been very fortunate to get some local grants. Cell Signaling is one company that's local in Danvers that supported us getting some new probes for biology. I don't know if you can see the pictures, but I don't know if that one is up there, but our biology classes are using these probes to measure like the production of carbon dioxide and oxygen, and then they're analyzing the data and writing lab reports. Institution for Savings was able to support us in getting graphing calculators. We got several sets of those so that students have access to those in the classroom. The Northeast STEM Network is another network that has supported us in doing a lot of field trips. So we've had the opportunity to take students to Trillium Flow Technologies, which is a company in Ipswich. We've gone to Clock Tower Engineering, which is a Beverly company, New England Biolabs in Ipswich, Cell Signaling in Danvers. We've also had many of the companies have guest speakers come in and speak to our students. So the students are learning from industry experiences about what they could do in the future with science. Oh, me again.
Sorry.
Okay. And in math, this is year five. Year 5 for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. It went through a similar process like English 6 years ago, and where the teachers looked at different resources, went through the adoption process. I will say, for the high school, this has probably been one of the most successful adoptions. It's really aligned our math curriculum vertically and horizontally. So we do have scope and sequences laid out that follow this curriculum. All of our math teachers now are staying on the same page in terms of what kids are learning in each class. We've aligned it vertically, so our Algebra 2 teachers know what they learned in Algebra 1, so they can start off where they need to and continue on through the sequence. With this program as well, I want to highlight there's another component called ALEX, which is a program that meets students where they're at and gives them topics that go at their pace so that they're learning. So in addition to what they're learning in the class, we're supporting the skills that they need to continue to grow as a math student.
All right, lastly, history, and this is an interesting one. This is year 6 of our history adoption. And I say it's interesting because this is an example of an adoption of curriculum that preceded, I think, our positions. Prior to the adoption of what we have now, which I'll get into in a minute, as you can imagine, think about a history class in, the 1980s or 90s, and you just had that, 40-pound textbook that was passed out to you. It may have been the same from class to class. In many cases, they were different from class to class. And I know, the thought is, well, history never changes, so why do we have to adopt new curriculum? And I'm hoping that I didn't look, but I'm sure Mr. Fiore might have rolled his eyes over there at that comment, because although we know that historical events don't change, the perspectives of those historical events change almost on a daily basis, and the need for new history curriculum is just as important as the need for any other curriculum. However, just to go back into the history of this history curriculum, we adopted this during COVID. The process that it went through was really brought to a content meeting of which I was a part of. I was a history teacher during this adoption. And the group looked at the availability of curriculums that were out there. And it was basically, all right, everybody look at these and we'll choose. And the next content meeting, whoever chose what they wanted came and was an advocate for that and gave a speech about why they wanted it. I was an advocate for TCI, History Alive. I gave a little speech to the content group, said why we wanted it. I got the most votes, and so that's what we got. And well, actually, it went through one more process. I came in front of the school committee and gave that same speech, and it was approved. With that, we've learned a lot as we just kind of went through, and we've learned that, yes, that was teacher-driven. It was teacher choice, but it was lacking in professional development. It was lacking in use before the choice was made, and it was really lacking in all eyes on the curriculum before a choice with fidelity was made. We are very happy with this curriculum, I should say. TCI is an interactive curriculum. It is digital. It provides a number of different interactive activities for students to use. You can go into a classroom and in many cases see students working collaboratively together that are activities that are based off of TCI. However, we do feel that just like all of the other curriculum adoptions, this curriculum, the history content area, deserves the same, due diligence that all of the other content areas have received. So as Dr. Thomas mentioned, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education provides us with approved curriculums that we can choose from. There are 3 for history, TCI, History Alive being one of them. The other one that we've looked at that the content group likes is SAVIS. So what we're going to do for second semester is we're going to pilot the SAVIS curriculum in 3 different classrooms, representing each of the grade levels that we have history classes for. So US 1, US 2, and World. A teacher from each will be piloting this curriculum. The one thing that I think we've learned from is just having teachers pilot this curriculum and kind of give their recommendations is great, but we feel like we could do more. I've actually been a part of an ECLC group that is a number of different superintendents, principals, and curriculum directors from across the Northeast or Essex County, and we're kind of sharing our trials and tribulations of curriculum adoption. A couple of the recommendations that came out of that for me, which I really took and I loved, is not only having teachers pilot the curriculum, but also giving our teachers that are not piloting this curriculum the opportunity to get into those classrooms as observers. So all next semester, we're going to have those 3 history teachers not only pilot, but the remaining history teachers do learning walks of that pilot to see what it looks like in action and are able to compare it to the curriculum that they currently have. Additionally, and maybe most importantly, getting student feedback on the curriculum, what they thought of it, because these are students that would have had the previous curriculum for the first half of the year, the new curriculum for the second half of the year, coming and saying, hey, which one did you like better? Why did you like it better? Getting that subjective data, but then also the objective data of benchmark grades and midterms compared to final grades. So we're going to compile all of that by May, bring that to the content team, and make a decision amongst other variables of which curriculum we think would be best for the high school. So on the lookout for that one. Outside of curriculum adoption, one of the things that Dr. Thomas and I are most proud of are our grant-funded initiatives. From the humanities perspective, particularly from the history perspective, we have applied for and received over $135,000 in grant funding over the last 3 years, aimed directly at civic and genocide education. We've used those funds, a large portion of those funds, for professional development around civic and genocide education for our teachers, with partnerships through Facing History, Primary Source, and Salem State University. We were able to recently host a civics professional development through Facing History during the election PED day Day, and Mr. Fiore was part of that. It was very, very successful, not only offering ways to, look at civic education, but also offering different ideas and lesson plans and student discourse. We've also been able to use those funds for professional development to develop a new course called Preserving Democracy, which will be a mandated course for our seniors starting next year. This course looks at the ideas behind human behavior, group dynamics, leading into a case study of the Holocaust for failed democracy. And then it's going to ask students to kind of take the temperature of their own democracy and develop a civics project, which is mandated by the state, which we're really hoping as seniors, they do so, I think, as actual civic and members of society. And hopefully some of them will actually take that project and use it for their senior internship, as we have many of our students do projects for their senior internship. So we're very excited about that course. And as you can see highlighted in the picture, we've actually been able to use some of that grant money to enhance student experiences. We were able to take the entire 10th grade a couple of years ago to the Traveling Holocaust Museum, which was actually just amazing. It was all of these primary source artifacts from the Holocaust. As you can see, a student there looking at an actual set of pajamas from the Holocaust. And we were able to have the cattle car exhibit, where a group brought an actual, what was a replica of a cattle car to the parking lot of Beverly High School, where students were able to board that and then watch a video on the Holocaust, which was very, very moving. So all of these things have been done so through, again, the grant funding that we're very, very proud of. So.
And this is just an example of experience that we offered to our students at the high school through science. This was actually done with Change is Simple, and we partnered with Arena Key from the city of Beverly, and this was more of an engineering focus, but Change is Simple came out and talked to the students about solar panels and how they work, and they did some experiments with that. And then what happened is the engineering class and the students that were involved in this field trip actually built a model solar canopy, like the one that we have out in the parking lot of the high school. And so that was going to be used by the city to explain how solar panels work. So it was a collaboration project with them.
I should go back, and I failed to mention one of the other initiatives we have, or grant-funded professional developments we have coming up, is on the Holocaust and human behavior. So Facing History is actually coming back in March, and our history teachers who are preparing to teach that new course will be trained by Facing History on the Holocaust and human behavior. But we're also very excited to invite our 8th grade English teachers, who will be in their new curriculum adoption teaching night, to also be trained in the Holocaust and human behavior. So we invited them last week, and we're very happy that they are going to come.
I just want to point out, too, he had mentioned REACH and the civics projects as well. Many of these companies have hosted students for REACH as well. So getting them exposure early on for these field trips and that sort of thing has made that connection for them. And then they've gone back and worked with these companies for their REACH internships.
So this year, our instructional priority at the high school, because we also act as instructional coaches for our teachers, has been to increase student discourse within the classroom. We've been working with TNTP since 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, to expand this instructional priority throughout our school. This has been something that has been a slow rollout, and it has purposefully been a slow rollout. And we actually just had a meeting with our teachers today, our ILT leaders, about, I think we were introducing one more thing. When she's, whoa, we don't want to rush this. This has been going well as a slow rollout. And again, it's something where we're happy with the results that we're actually starting to see within our building. So basically, what we've been doing is offering our teachers, again, coaching and support in increasing student discourse through activities and professional development within the classroom. But also from an administrative standpoint, we've been increasing the number of learning walks we've been doing within those classrooms to make sure that we're calibrating what we're looking for in the classroom, how we are evaluating those classrooms, and how we're sharing with the teachers, hey, what we're looking for, and what we're hoping that they can achieve through this initiative as well. So I think that's one of the things that has been one of the best outcomes of this. So just like we talk about how our students We want to calibrate what they're learning in the classroom. We also want our teachers to feel comfortable that whatever administrator is their evaluator is looking for and is calibrated in the same way when they're coaching them. So, for instance, we have done learning walks with the majority of the administrative team. If I am a teacher's evaluator, I'm giving the same coaching and recommendations that if Dr. Thomas was. So with that saying, it's leading for us to be able to provide powerful and ongoing professional development and individualized coaching to empower teachers to feel comfortable and confident as they move forward with this initiative. I think one of the things that we found the most is that, all of our teachers understand and know that discourse is good for students. We know that those that do the speaking do the learning. I think that we have learned as administrators that we need to be there to coach them and empower them with a variety of different strategies to see those outcomes. Again, it's been a slow rollout, a purposefully done slow rollout, and one that, as a result, we're seeing a large success with.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming tonight and sharing with us the process and the kind of historical context behind the adoptions, especially at the high school, and what that has looked like, and kind of where we are today with that, and kind of coming back to some history, but also looking at other content areas as well that have had adoptions during that process. So thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Oh, good. I was going to ask if this is the appropriate place to
Yes,
ask
can you just-
questions.
Yes,
Absolutely,
yeah.
I will. All right.
Thank you.
So I do have a few questions, and I don't know is a great answer. Just thinking about the math curriculum, have you all been able to look at I know it's only one set of data, but like the math MCAS data, and are you seeing any trends, like this standard needs to be addressed differently, or, what are you noticing, and does using the Reveal Math curriculum allow you all, or does any curriculum allow you all the flexibility to patch any holes or anything that you feel need to be filled for our students to be successful? And I do know that MCAS data is only one set of data.
Right.
So I know.
Yeah, so we do regularly in our PLCs look at data. So not only do we look at the MCAS data, we look at the benchmark data, we look at the common assessment data, and we talk as a group as, why are all students getting this standard wrong or this question wrong? Could we have taught it differently? What's confusing about it for the student? So teachers are digging into the data and reflecting on that throughout the year to support students. I'm trying to think of what the other part of your question was.
No, I'm just wondering if the curriculum allows, or even like the time, does it allow for you to meet those student
Yes,
needs?
yeah.
If you're able to,
Yeah,
see,
definitely,
like
yeah.
everybody got question 12 wrong.
Right, yeah.
Like, let's
yeah.
reteach
There's always-
question 12.
Yeah, there's always questions and looping back to reteach. And then that other component of the program Reveal is Alex. And Alex is another component of the program that definitely goes back and loops back in. And it can be targeted too. Teachers can target some of those assignments to what students need to make sure that they're continuing to progress.
And I think, in general, in terms of the district, when we roll out a curriculum and we're looking for them to implement the curriculum, it's then after they've implemented and really learned the curriculum that we start diving into. We look at data all the time in this district, and so kind of looking at what are the trends and certainly what are the patchwork, but then we dive in to say, what is this short in? Where may we need to look at? What is this not addressing the way we would like? And so we're at different stages across different disciplines, but yes, absolutely.
And then just thinking about ELA, we have 2 copies of American-born Chinese at my house right now.
Okay.
But I have 2 boys, so it's
Yeah.
okay. So I see that you are able to bring in like a lot of great diverse literature, and my boys have enjoyed that. And it's cool. I'm amazed that we have all the resources, so thank you for arranging that. So I know that literature is not necessarily, I'm going to use the wrong word, but like dictated or mandated by the state. What state-approved curriculum are we using in high school? Do we do that at the secondary level or no?
For the English curriculum at the secondary level, it's a little bit more autonomous.
Right, okay.
We don't generally use a state-approved curriculum outside of the literary selections that are made. Similarly to what Dr. Thomas said in math, we spend a lot of time in our PLCs generating, lesson plans, taking a look at data, and really identifying the standards that fall under each text. That's a real main goal for us in the English department is, taking a look at, because the standards for English are skill standards, taking a look at where those skill standards are taught in each individual text and what they look like at each individual grade level to have a cohesive projection from 9 to 12. So yeah, it's the one curriculum of the ones that we talked about that isn't a state mandated curriculum, as well as, like you mentioned, the texts are not state mandated either, but
Right.
we did do a large due diligence in taking a look at other districts, which texts are taught at other districts, and talking to other teachers in other districts to see what went well, what didn't, what they liked, what they didn't like before we piloted them.
Awesome. And then with your learning walks, thinking about like adolescents, that's like a pretty amazing goal. Like I think that's, to get them to talk about content, like what resources, professional development, whatever are given and what are needed to boost this discourse? Because it's so important.
Okay. So we introduced this as a learning priority at the end of last year. Mr. Thomas likes to, at our last staff meeting of the year, talk to our teachers about what to expect for next year. And then, of course, everybody goes home in the summer, and that's all they think about all summer. But we came in this year and kind of introduced the topic with data showing, why student discourse, why we're talking about student discourse, and why we think our students should be talking. The slow rollout has been introducing different things like anchor charts and sentence stems because what we found is that even when we put students in groups and say, okay, go talk about it, our students don't know how to talk to each other. They've never been taught how to talk to each other in an academic setting and using academic language, for instance. So we as a group in our ILT group and then our content areas developed individual anchor charts for our students to give them when we have planned academic discourse in the classroom. Our next step was to give our teachers different strategies to use, like different specific strategies, planning strategies to use for discourse. Like, for instance, if you were going to teach using 5 different primary sources in a history class, here is a jigsaw activity that would work to get students talking to each other about all 5 of those. That's just one example.
And we model this for the teachers.
Correct.
So we go through at a faculty meeting or a department meeting, we're modeling this strategy so that they see it in action and then they can go and try it on their own.
And at our recent ILT meeting, which was today, we gave our ILT leaders a number of different strategies. We're asking them to pick ones that fit their content area. Then they're going to bring those back to their colleagues to kind of narrow those down and say, these are the ones that in English class we feel would best support our students. Following that, we're asking teachers to invite us in when they're trying these strategies so that we can offer coaching support. But really, it's about making sure that everybody is involved in the professional development from the administrative level to the ILT level and into the teaching level, and then obviously including the students. So we've felt that strategy and those resources have kind of really moved the needle, I think, with the student discussion that we've been seeing in class. It has dramatically increased from the start of September to now, and I feel like every class we go into, it's improving, and we have a number of teachers that are excited to invite us into classrooms to say, hey, I'm trying this activity, can you come in and watch it? I had a teacher today is trying something tomorrow that I'm excited to go into and see, and I think that's really the real win for us, is we feel that our teachers are feeling comfortable trying something that they're uncomfortable with, because they know it's going to benefit the students in the long run.
And some of this work is done in our professional learning communities too. So we have time during the school day where we can meet with small groups of teachers and they can say, okay, I'm going to do this lesson. I want to try Jigsaw. Can you walk me through how this would work? And so we do some planning with them on how to implement one of these new strategies. And then they're sharing it with their colleagues.
Thank you for letting me ask so many questions. I appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you both very much for coming. I appreciate you
Thank you, everyone.
tonight. Next, I have Lauren Sweatman here. She's an instructional coach from North Beverly Elementary, and she is here to talk a little bit about elementary reading comprehension strategies. One of our topics was looking at reading strategies in the elementary level. So she volunteered to help out tonight and share some of those. She's a new coach. She's also going to share some of the information about the coach's role at the elementary schools. She's seen it both sides. She's a master teacher, and we're very fortunate to have her as a coach. So take it away, Lauren.
Thank you all so much for having me tonight. You know, one of the things that I just switched this year into the instructional coach role from teaching fourth grade for 13 years. And so when thinking about reading comprehension and what it looks like, I've really had the opportunity this year to see it straight through starting in kindergarten all the way through fourth grade. So I'm excited to share with you some strategies today that we use actually in our school. So when you think about students starting in first grade, you know, you think about their reading to decode and to figure out their words. And then as that progresses, they're then starting to read to learn. One of the areas that we like to look at for reading comprehension is metacognition. What happened this year especially was we had a chance, I know we talked a lot about data today, a little bit came up when analyzing a lot of our data and looking specifically at the writing from our students. One of the things that we really realized was that our students needed to be thinking more about their thinking. And what that means is being able to provide evidence, but also explain their reasons. And that was the gap that we really saw with a lot of the students writing. And the reason why this is so important is because it allows them to make deeper connections with the text. It allows for, especially at the upper grade levels, really third and fourth grade levels, it allows them to have much more meaningful, deeper writing in their expository texts and their expository essays. So one of the areas that we looked at this year was especially focused on how they're writing. Students are becoming very good at, you know, providing a reason when they read an article. They're really good at finding evidence, but then when it comes down to being able to explain how they're actually, you know, how they chose that and use a lot of their background knowledge and understand why they chose that evidence, that's what we really focused on with metacognition. And there's lots of the strategies you can use. We actually started with wordless picture books. And this is, again, something that we even discussed that can be used at the lower grades as well. Looking at those pictures and saying, what's happening in these pictures? How do you know that that's happening? What conclusions are you drawing from your own knowledge and also from the pictures? So this is one strategy that we're really excited to continue to use and really incorporate at all the grade levels at our school. The next one is visualization. This one can sometimes be really challenging for students, especially the younger grades, if they're just learning to read. But what it is really creating pictures in our minds that go along with all the words. This helps students represent the story, and it makes a story much more meaningful. You can see in this example, you know, you have the Camilla cream, the bad case of stripes. It's being able to say, I'm picturing when you're reading this story, I'm picturing in my head what she looks like, so now I can understand why she's feeling the way she's feeling. So for upper grades, you know, what you'd see at something in third or fourth grade, it can be used so independently. Currently, for example, our third graders are creating individual scrapbooks based on the main character's point of view. And so for that, they were asked to visualize and really think about different scenes from the book and incorporate that into their scrapbooks. For lower grades, it's seeing teachers just reading a story saying, hold on a second, let's close our eyes and think about what are you picturing in this moment when I'm reading that story. So it's a really powerful tool that can be used at the elementary level. The next one is one of my favorites. It's inferencing. Inferencing means that they have to read between the lines by combining the text, which is, you know, clues from the text, the evidence, and then also schema, which is the background knowledge. Together, when you put those together, you're able to make a really great inference. And again, thinking about these they're called reading comprehension strategies, but again, they can also be applied at the lower grades, first and second. What it can look like is showing pictures to students, saying, okay, look at this picture. What can you infer from this based on your background knowledge and what you see in the picture? Upper grade, we've done some classroom transformations in the years past where we set up crime scenes in the classroom with a mystery they had to solve. From there, they then have to write a police report or a crime scene report about what happened. And it also looks like using longer texts. We use the Wit and Wisdom curriculum in our elementary school. And there's a lot of inferencing that's done within there, especially, looking at who do you think Jack is talking to for Love That Dog, which is a book on poetry. How did you infer this? Where did that come from? What evidence do you have based on the text and also based on your experience in school as well? So that's another strategy that we use at the elementary level. Question, answer, response. Everyone's very familiar with this. We have spent a lot of time with this, not only just in preparation of, benchmark assessments or MCAS assessments, but what it does, though, is it's a skill that they're going to use forever. Once they know how to find an answer in a text and be able to think about it and know where to seek them, it just makes them a better learner throughout the rest of their elementary, middle, and high school education. There's two types of questions that we really focus on. We focus on explicit, which are ones that are found right in there. So those are ones, I used examples as the fourth grade text, but why is the dog whining in this moment? And if you go back in the text, you can see it. But implicit is much more, in detail. They might have a quote. You can see up there the quote. Did you agree with what this person said? Why or why not? But also on top of that, you now need to give examples from the text based on your own experiences or the text that help you come up with this. So that's one strategy. And then along those same lines, similar, they kind of go hand in hand, is Bloom's taxonomy. And that's being able to generate questions. It uses a pyramid of skills that start from the very basic questioning, remembering skills, understanding, starting to see, do they understand what they're reading, and then applying what they've learned to various situations, leading to analyzing, evaluating, and then creating. And this, again, it builds critical thinking skills in the classroom. When you look here, you can see we have a cartoon, a political cartoon of the Stamp Act of 1765. This would be an example of how it was used in the classroom. The students had obviously knew a lot about what was happening at that time, but they had to create a compromise based on the side they were on and what would they have done. And so that's, again, the whole creation. Another example would be when we do novels at our school, it goes a higher level saying, if your character were an animal, why would they be that animal? And some of the kids always kind of say, what are you talking about? This is kind of a funny question. But then you have to think deeper. You have to think about, what traits does that character have in the novel and what animals represent that trait? And so then they get it. And, the same thing, if your character was a song, what song would they pick or what would be on their playlist? So those are the type of questions that can be fun, but also get them thinking at the same time. We're also using it in the lower grades. So currently we have book clubs running. These are we look at students that need additional services, but we also are doing a lot of enrichment this year at our school. So we have a second grade book club, and they have to generate questions based on the Bloom's taxonomy. So, and then the questions they create, they have to be able to answer, but then the other groups have to be able to answer their questions as well. And it's been really kind of neat to see the questions they come up with, because they're like, is this going to be a stumper? Are we going to be able to stump the other group? And so there's just a lot of thinking going on and a lot of comprehension that has to take place when you're looking at using something like Bloom's taxonomy. Book clubs and reciprocal teaching. It's a learning strategy that boosts reading comprehension through discussions. There are specific roles. It's been done differently at various grade levels, also depending on the book and the group, but typically it involves making predictions. And again, predictions is also one of the reading comprehension strategies we look at. If you have read a chapter before, you should be able to make a prediction about what happens next in the next chapter, and that also shows comprehension as well. questioning, clarifying, and summarizing. So again, second grade, we have the book clubs being run. And then in first grade, we currently have an enrichment group of students who are reading chapter books. It's called the Dragon Masters. And they've had some, they've been able to write descriptions about their dragons, find evidence from the text, and created their own dragons. So those are the ways that you can enhance the students' learning in the classroom as well. Story structure and story mapping, I think everyone's very familiar with that. It's creating a summary of the main ideas from an article, chapter, or any text. It's important because it obviously improves their comprehension of the narrative text that they're reading. And we do a lot of it through our Wit and Wisdom curriculum. So when they read a story, they're asked to create story maps based on what they've read. And so that includes the title, the author, characters, setting, an event timeline, and then also the resolution. And so those, again, measure comprehension. This is something that, at the lower elementary level, it's very scaffolded. There's a lot of sentence stems to start off, but then as they progress through the years, they grow more independent with it. Summarizing, same thing. They create a summary of the main ideas. You can see here an example, again, used through some of our Wit and Wisdom, write a summary of what happens during October and November. And again, similar to the other strategy I just talked about, at the lower grades, they use sentence starters to help them. The main character was, the problem was. But then as they get into the higher levels, it's because somebody wanted to, so but then. And so that just continues to develop and grow for them. Finally, the other strategy that a lot of research has been done about the benefits of students being read to. And it's really important when you're going to do a read aloud that it is done in a meaningful and intentional and purposeful way. And so at our school, we have all the grade levels, grades 1 through 4, really doing a read aloud in each of the classrooms. And what it's resulted in is a lot of interactive discussions with the students, some higher level thinking, especially at the lower grades, grades 1 and grade 2. I've had the privilege of being in one of the grade 2 classrooms this year for the read alouds. And some of the questions that they've come up with and the discussions that we've had about the characters have just been so rich and so inviting. And the other thing is it allows everybody in the classroom to access the same text. And so these are the ones that we're using this year for grades 1 through 4. And the other piece is they've been able to do culminating projects that everyone can do. So in second grade, they created wardrobes, and in it they had to answer questions. Like if you could ask your character a few questions, what would you ask them? And again, everyone seemed to really get a lot out of that experience together. So it also does help support metacognition. So.
Okay,
the next piece.
before we move on to coaches' responsibilities, I'd just like to add, these are Tier 1 and Tier 2 instructional strategies that she's talking about that are happening in the general ed classroom by general ed teachers. So I think you can see the breadth of what our teachers are at the elementary level doing in terms of even just reading comprehension. We do a lot. The teachers do an amazing job at the elementary level, at all levels, but in looking at reading comprehension as well as decoding strategies for students. And I think you can see, the depth and breadth of what they're doing and the instruction they're providing for students in comprehension.
I was also asked to kind of share a little bit about, as an instructional coach, what our responsibilities look like in our school. And so there's a few different responsibilities that we have. One involves data. It involves a lot of analysis of the data. That's MCAS data, that's benchmark data, DIBELS, anything that the teachers are noticing in the classroom, anything that they use as a formative evaluation, a summative evaluation. We also have data meetings 3 times a year. So we have a data meeting at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And that's when we work collaboratively with the teachers to analyze the data, to also review students that we realize we might need some additional services, or we might need to keep a closer eye on, and come up with plans to assist all of the students in their classrooms. And then administering assessments throughout the year, including DIBELS. The second responsibility is running grade level meetings. These are done every day, pretty much in the afternoon. Grade levels, we have a chance to meet with grade levels probably twice every 3 weeks. And what we do there is, the goal is to improve instruction in the classroom. And so this year, for example, so far, we've analyzed MCAS writing across grades 3 and 4 and developed a plan for instruction going forward. Reviewed ST math data at all grades, and we've now identified all the students that are stuck or need some additional assistance or need some additional tools or resources to be successful. We created and planned some small group instruction for ELA, focusing on some grammar skills that third grade wanted some additional practice with. We decided at the lower grades, first and second grades, to implement problem-solving tasks as part of their math curriculum, math instruction as well. Third and fourth grade were already doing those, and so we brought it down to the first and second grade. And also, I'm really thankful for this. We've regularly been able to follow up on students who we identified at risk at the fall data meetings, and so I feel like we have a really good handle on those students. So as far as reading goes, implementing different reading strategies like we talked about today, creating enrichment groups. So we have enrichment groups in place for various grade levels. So they're getting more than the level that they're at. Assisting teachers in creating resources. For math, it's ST Math. Providing guidance and direction on math centers, looking at math curriculum and providing modeling and classroom instruction. That's a big piece of it, is being in the classrooms a lot to help with whatever the teachers need or some additional instruction. Classroom collaboration is a big one, especially working with first-year teachers who have joined our school this year to provide lesson modeling, instruction, and guidance. It's a so when I give feedback, it's non-evaluative. So I'm able to have an open conversation with them about what I notice and help them improve their instruction as well. And we really focus on designing rigorous and engaging instruction. So.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions in terms of coaching? All right, thank you so much, Lauren, I appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on. We'll have just enough time. We have 2 policies to look at tonight. So I don't know if you want to talk about them.
Sure. So the first one is IJNDB. It's the use of technology and instruction policy. I don't think we have a copy of that, do we, for the screen? So this is a first review, so I think this is an opportunity for us to consider any questions or concerns that we have that we want addressed in the policy, and then we get a chance to talk about it again for a final vote and acceptance of the policy. So I think I will ask for a motion to accept the policy as it's written. I'll need a second, and then we can open it up for discussion.
Second.
I need it first. That's okay, don't worry.
Yes, first. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lennox.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Frost. Any comments or discussion on this policy? Okay, so.
Sorry, I just have
Yeah.
one question. What is the highlighted part specifically? Is there a reason that there's a part that's highlighted?
So the highlighted part is you had 2 in your packet. One is from MASC and one is ours. And the only difference is the highlighted section. So we have this additional section in our policy.
So I hope I'm not going to make a mistake on this, but I don't think we actually have to vote on this to move it to the next meeting, because there's nothing that we're voting on now, right?
I think if we're okay with it, we typically vote on it and we'll go to.
And then it goes for final approval to committee of the whole. Okay, thank you for that, appreciate it.
So just to be clear, there are no changes to this policy. It is as is.
Doesn't sound like anybody, unless anybody does have any suggestions for changes to the policy. Okay. So we have a first, a second, so I think I can open it up for a vote to move it for final review to committee of the whole. Oh, yeah. I'll take a motion to vote, please. I need a first and then a second.
I'll say first this time.
Thank you.
Second.
Ms. Lennox, thank you for the second, Ms. Frost. And then I will go around the room. Let me make sure I've got okay, so, Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Ms. Lennox,
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
I don't typically vote.
Okay, sorry. You don't typically vote. Everyone else is okay, sorry about that. Okay, I was misguided. Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Peter Cushing, or Dr. Peter Cushing, excuse me. I don't vote on it. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. I'll correct my chart here. Apologies. I got a couple speed bumps on my first time around. Thanks, everybody. Oh, gosh. Thanks a lot, everybody. Okay, and then I will vote on behalf of myself, yes. Okay, great. So then we have, what?
I'm
Oh, I'm
totally
sorry.
fine. I'm technically not a voting member, but
I know,
by
but out of
tradition
courtesy, I
tend to.
think. No, I
To be honest
appreciate
with
that.
you,
Thank you for,
dealer's choice.
please do. Do we have your vote?
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry and I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so then the second policy that we have for first review tonight is IJND, access to digital resources. Okay. Before I can open it up for discussion, I need a first and then a second.
First.
Thank you, Ms. Frost.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Lennox. Any discussion or recommendations on this policy? Corey?
I'm the highlighted section in particular, the language around it is vague, sort of like general or vague to the point of my wondering sort of what the bounds of this are. Right? Individuals shall reimburse the district for repair or replacement of district property lost, stolen, damaged, or vandalized while under their care. I'm just wondering, like, does this extend to the point of, like, if a student in my classroom damages an iPad, can I be held responsible for that? I can think of a million such examples that could happen, right? Like the TVs room to room, that kind of thing, whatever technology it might be. I don't know. It looks to me like sort of like generalized in a way that a lot can be read into, and I'm wondering if we have any kind of standards around that.
I'm going to ask our friends of the administration to comment on that. Thank you.
So in terms of that, if you look at the first statement, it's students, employees, and community members. I think that's why it's general in terms of individuals that would be responsible. You, the classroom teacher, would not be responsible for a student if a student were to, I don't know, destroy an iPad or so forth. The individual would be responsible themselves. But I agree that it was general, and, we were talking about it, and it's because it's those three sections, three segments in the first sentence that it applies to, because the teachers also have insurance that is paid for by the district too.
To be honest with you, the only part of it that kind of confused me was while under their care. Just seems like it's like almost that could be interpreted as like if either the student and or the technology itself is under my care, does that mean that I'm responsible for that part?
No.
To be honest with you, with the caveat of the first part, I think I see what you mean here.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? So can I open the floor for a first and then a second and then a vote? Or no, I think I can just open this up for a vote to pass this along to committee of the whole. We did. We got a first and a second, then we opened it for discussion. Yep. So then we can do. Okay, so I think we can do the vote. Okay, and I'll do better this time. Okay. Ms. Frost?
Yes.
Ms. Lennox?
Yes.
Mr. Fiore?
Abstain, thanks.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, so that passes, so we'll move that to committee of the whole. And then back to the beginning of my agenda. I think we can open that up for, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you both.
First.
Second.
Okay. So then, okay, that passes at 7:29. We will adjourn. We thank the viewers at home as well as those that joined us in person, and thank you to BevCam as well. Thank you. Welcome to our meeting tonight. We are at the Beverly Middle School. I'm going to do this again. Today is Wednesday, January 14th, and the time is now 7:37. This is a meeting of the regular school committee meeting. We're meeting in a hybrid remote format so that we can make accessibility more possible for the public. This is permitted under the June 16th, 2021 Chapter 20 Acts of 2021 that have been extended multiple times. We provide real-time access to our community thanks to BevCam, who is broadcasting and streaming us. We also have the option for resident voice tonight. At this time, I'd like to call to order, and then we can begin with the pledge. Nobody's joining remotely. Okay. Pardon me.
Madam Vice President, are we on the BevCam, Kim? Because I don't know that we're visible.
I'm going to begin the roll. Ms. Visnick, not here tonight. I will go to Ms. Frost.
Here.
Ms. Lennox.
Here.
Dr. Peter Cushing.
Present.
Thank you. Who am I going to? Mayor Cahill.
Here.
Ms. Cahill.
Here.
Ms. Qualo.
Here.
Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Nadia, did you write? Okay. And Lindsay Ducharme, present. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Miss Delia Gauker.
Here.
Did I say that? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Cahill. Okay. I would like to, for Pledge of Allegiance, can I ask Ms. Frost to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So on tonight's agenda, the first order of business is recognition of students, employees, and community members.
I have that built into my superintendent's report
okay.
for this evening.
Okay. So we'll move along to the second. If I might ask Delia Gauker to provide the student representative update to the school committee.
Thank you. At the high school, winter sports teams are currently in the middle of their seasons. Multiple sports teams just had athletes reach school records, so everyone's very excited about that. Rehearsals for both the spring musical and the winter drama fest play competition are underway. Next week, the high school will have midterms. Students will have 2 midterm blocks in the morning and then opportunities for makeup and extra help in the afternoon. The order of the midterm blocks was adjusted this year to make it easier for Essex Tech After Dark students. To build school community and show student talents, there are regular music or craft Fridays in the library during lunch, where students can go and connect with other students. Seniors are continuing to plan their REACH internships with the help of administration and the guidance department. And on Friday, January 30th, third quarter report cards and midterm exam grades will be available for students. Thank you.
Thank you. I think at this point, my predecessor, Ms. Visnick's predecessor, usually said, if there's anything at home that you need to go home to, that you can certainly stay, but we certainly understand if you need to go as well. And thank you again. I'm sorry. Thank you. BevCam, are we okay? I'll say that again. The next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting records, and I'm going to start with the December 10th, 2025 school committee meeting minutes. Before we review the meeting
I'll make
minute-
the motion.
Okay,
to approve.
first, perfect.
Second.
And then now we're open for discussion. If anybody has any comments or feedback on the minutes before we vote to make them public record. Again, these are the December 10th, 2025 meeting minutes. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go around the room in the following order. Oh, go ahead, please.
Do we need the roll? Nobody's participating remotely, so I don't think we need the
I don't
roll.
think we technically did. I don't think we technically do, but I was going to do that just out of comfort for myself so that I didn't have to like remember, was I doing roll or was I not doing roll? So that was just a hack for myself, if that's okay with everybody. But I'm happy to, you're right. I think technically we don't have to do the roll because we don't have anybody remote. If we had somebody remote, we'd have to do the roll. So I guess I don't mind saying, thank you, that unless anybody has any objections, I think we can say it passed unanimously. All those in favor, excuse me, thank you. You're abstaining?
I'm just abstaining because I wasn't present.
Okay, so I wanted to, so on that, just for everyone's sort of education, if you're comfortable, I reached out to Alicia Mallon, who's our MASC Massachusetts School Committee representative earlier because I had that same concern. And because there is a rule it's a Mass General Law rule, actually, I wondered if it was Robert's rules. It's a Mass General Law rule that out of necessity, in order to make the minutes available, that we do have the option to vote, but you also do have the option to abstain. In this case, a large majority of us were not at the meeting. So they would sort of be extended indefinitely and not posted. So that was the feedback that I got. Go ahead.
And this won't happen again.
Yeah,
This is-
you're right.
this is the one
You're right.
off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I did try to find the section of the law to actually bring it for everybody. But if it gives anybody reassurance, certainly not pressuring anybody because you're welcome to abstain. But if it gives anybody reassurance, I did double check that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'm
That's
totally
okay.
fine to vote for it. I just wasn't present for it.
That's totally fine. Ms. Coelho?
I did look into that too after I was sick for X amount of weeks and couldn't come. And then we had to vote on minutes and we only had a quorum. So if enough of us didn't vote, we couldn't pass the minutes. And I looked into it myself because if for some reason not enough of us were reelected and there was more of us and the votes had to be voted on, the minutes had to be voted on, then who was going to vote on them if it was a whole new council? They have to be voted on. That's why they give them to you enough time in advance so you can read them. You can go back into BevCam. You can look to see what happened at that meeting and you can judge for yourself whether you approve them or not.
Okay. Yeah, I approve.
So that I feel a little bit more comfortable with that, if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to say ask again, all in favor, so I have a clear vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and myself, 9, that passes. 8, excuse me, thank you. I'll get there, guys. Okay, so the next agenda minutes that we need to review are from the January 5th, 2026 organizational meeting. And so in order to open up discussion about that, I'll need a first and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
First was by Ms. Coelho, second was by Ms. Cahill. Okay, great. Any discussion items, comments, or questions?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
So thank you to Ms. Quill for this excellent job. Thank you very much. I just had some suggestions. One was on the second page under Office of Secretary, she put, or it was put, the minutes have, draft minutes have, Ms. Ducharme was informed of the proper procedure for nominations. And I went and looked back at BevCam because I didn't remember that. And so I think we should strike that from the record. And then, and again, I'm just thinking about somebody looking at this for 20 years from now. I'm not saying that we don't remember everything that happened 2 weeks ago. But 20 years from now, what will they think? And then on the third page, it talks about, and again, Ms. Quill did a great write-up of what we talked about. On the second paragraph, it says Ms. Visnick serving as acting president, presided over the school committee meeting, I would suggest we strike acting, since we voted for president.
So I think we need to take a motion to amend the minutes, and then I need the language for the motion, and a first and a second before we vote. So the first point that you had, Mr. Taylor, was under the second page, Office of the Secretary.
My motion is to strike the sentence, Ms. Ducharme was informed of the proper procedure for nominations. And on the third
Can I
page-
pause there? And I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to do it in sections so I can keep track of it. So the motion on the floor is the section that talks about Ms. Ducharme was informed of the proper procedure for nominations. Can I have a first and a second on that motion?
You made the motion.
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay, great. Thank you for that help. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pass myself. 8. Okay, that passes 8-0. And then Mr. Taylor, if you could bring us to the second part.
And then on the third page, I would make a motion that it currently reads, I'm not sure how to voice this motion, Ms. Visnick, comma, serving as president.
Could you, if I could ask you, can you bring me to the sentence? I'm trying to find where that is. Oh, thank you. Okay, got it. Sorry, got it. Thank you.
And if anybody else needs to see this.
Okay.
My motion is to strike the word acting.
Got it. So that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll take Ms. Ms. Cahill, I think I heard that first. And then all in favor of striking the word acting before acting president in that section? Okay, that passes 8-0. Was that it, Mr. Taylor? Okay. Are there any other comments or feedback? Okay, I'm going to call on myself if that's okay. I want to also say thank you, Ms. Quill, for pulling the minutes together. This is totally just clerical. My name is EY in a couple sections, it's AY. I don't mind, it happens all the time. Once again, thank you. But I think that we should just make that clerical change. I don't think that's something that we need to vote on. It's just a clerical change. Okay, got it. Okay, so I am going to take a motion to pass the minutes as I'm going to take a first and a second, please, or I'll open the floor to vote to pass the minutes from the January 5th organizational meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Seconded.
So Ms. Coelho was first, Mr. Taylor was second. All in favor? 8-0. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you again, everybody, for your patience with me and for your help. So on the next section on the agenda is the items by consensus. The recommended motion is to move to approve the items by consensus as outlined below. The superintendent recommends the school committee vote to approve the 4 items listed in the 4 warrant items listed on our agenda. Warrant 26021 in the amount of $334,149.96. Warrant 26022, thank you, in the amount of $3,336,191.66. Warrant 26023 in the amount of $450,202.60. And warrant 26024 in the amount of $500,533.33.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
That's a first by Mr. Cahill, second by, was that Ms. Coelho? Thank you. All in favor? Sorry, did I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0. Oh, 7-1. Thank you. That motion passes. Okay, next item on the agenda is the superintendent report. Happy to, go ahead, please.
So did you need to do number 5 later? It's okay. You're doing awesome. It's not easy.
I will get there, people. I will get there. I will. I feel confident about it. Thank you, Mayor Cahill. Okay, I did not intend to miss that, and I apologize to the speaker that has signed up. Thank you, Dr. Cushing, for passing this to me. Okay, so the next item in the agenda is the open forum for resident voice for input on agenda-related items for agenda-related items and non-agenda-related items. This is an opportunity to speak about topics included or not included as part of tonight's agenda. Any person who is wishing to speak should arrive at the posted meeting in time, in person, or you can email residentvoice@beverlyschools.org in advance of the meeting for alternate accommodation. Please note this is a public comment and not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals and the school committee. It is an individual's opportunity to express an opinion on issues within the school committee's authority. Remarks are addressed through the chair, who may refer items to the superintendent for future consideration. That language comes directly from the school committee policy. And now I see Caleb McCauley. If you could come to the microphone, and when you get a chance, if you could let us know your name and your address for the records, please. And then you'll have up to 3 minutes, and I would, anyway, your name and address, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caleb McCauley. I live at 3 Henderson Avenue. I am both the liaison for CPAC for the school committee. I'm also a parent of 2 children, one at the middle school and one at North Beverly. My youngest is autistic. I'm first speaking today with CPAC information, so Monday the 26th, we should be having a meeting coming up. Peer Projects will be presenting. I think we're going to also reach out to the administration to see if they have anything also to present. So that should be probably happening in the next week or so. Also, we have been meeting with the subcommittee around looking at the special education program and just everything. I've been excited with the start of the program. There's some awesome members here that are a part of it. I think we're going to make some great progress in finding ways that we can make our special education program and just the district work more for everyone. That at least is my hope. I also want to speak today as a parent. I want to say the name Renee Good. I want to speak as a very concerned parent for what is going on in our current country. I've seen even a high school attacked, and I'm just hoping that we are taking measures as, even though in our state we have not seen this type of violence, it could be coming. And I'm hoping that this group of people are at least setting up plans so that parents and concerned members of the community have an opportunity to be a part of keeping our community and our schools safe. Well, the CPAC is very important. There is a greater safety for everyone. And even an autistic woman being ripped out of her car, trying to go to a doctor's appointment, no one is safe. And I just want to make it clear that we are all here to protect any vulnerable community. So that was my main thing I wanted to come up and say is I'm just hoping that there are plans in place, there are conversations going on, and that we have some sort of community notification of things that people can do to keep our children and our immigrant population safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't have any other speakers signed up, but if there are any that wish to speak that haven't signed up. Okay, having gone back to 5, thank you again, Mayor Cahill. We've done number 6. We're going to move on to number 7, the superintendent's reports. Dr. Cushing, you're up.
Thank you very much. And allow me to share quickly. All right, so this is my report of the Superintendent of Schools for January 14th, 2026. I would like to thank Mr. McCauley for his words. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge that the discourse in our nation right now is not the discourse that we should be engaging in. Violence has no place. Unfortunately, it has found its way into our daily lives. And also want to make sure that the real incidents of last week are not somehow lost in what is now some AI video creation, further accelerating and conflating a really serious issue. But I do want to be sure that we take a moment to recognize the incidents of last week. But also, as I started on September 10th of this year, at several times throughout the year, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement to really understand and acknowledge the heritage of the Pawtuxet and Agawam people of both the past and the present, respect their continuance as Indigenous peoples to this land. I want to acknowledge that my workplace is in the traditional territory of this Native tribe and tribes, and thank them for their sacrifices that enables me and us to be an uninvited guest on their land as we're thinking about immigration, probably something that we should consider on a daily basis. While we cannot undo the mistakes of the past, we have a collective responsibility and opportunity to acknowledge them and work towards a continually better future. The QR code there leads to a website that will actually show you overlays of maps of where tribes used to and still do call their traditional homes. So I think that's just a really critical piece as we consider this national topic that has been definitely weaponized. So here's my report topics for this evening. So first, the FY 2027 school calendar, to approve the start date. We have a little bit more work to do on it, but I do want to approve the start date as parents are concerned about the summer camps. So I do want to get that, and then at the next meeting, we'll do a formal final approval. February 5th, there'll be a school finance forum. More information to come, but Hannah Bowen will be hosting that. We have a consent appointment letter from the mayor, National Youth Tobacco Survey, cost saving. I want to call out and thank some staff members for their work. Superintendent evaluation rubric, I have a handout here for the members of the committee. Budget overview, athletic recognitions, and then Centerville blood drive I will hand off to Lindsay, and then a international trip. So that's a long list that will hopefully go a lot faster. So first, I'm seeking the approval of the school committee to vote. Mr. Mayor, if you would like to present Mr. Manzo as a 3-year appointment to the Essex Tech School Committee.
I mean, it's in the packet or no?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Mr. Manzo. He used to serve on this school committee. This is a reappointment. He's been our representative to the Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical District School Committee since August of 2020. This is a 3-year appointment through the end of 2028.
Mr. Mayor, Paul served on financial forecasting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he knows all the issues with Essex Tech. Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, he's got a lot of historical knowledge, and he's a very, very thoughtful. He works incredibly hard to represent us, represent all of our children, both the ones at the Tech and the ones here. Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Manzo.
Second.
Can I just add for discussion? I just wanted to thank Mr. Manzo for all his service to the Essex Tech School Committee. I know it's something that, you can tell it's something that he loves and is passionate about. And he's just done great work and brought us a lot of good information. And so it's just a really good relationship that we have. So thank you, Paul, for your work and effort, and glad you're going to do it again.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson, excuse me.
Moving on, I would like to take a moment for the school committee to consider approving the calendar, not in full, but just in part tonight for the start of school. We have a few just things to iron out and make sure they're fully clear on the calendar for full approval in a few weeks. So this is a screenshot of the top of the calendar where the first 2 days of teacher, paraprofessional, professional development would be August 31st and September 1st. Labor Day is late this year. My apologies to parents, as that sometimes makes it a long summer. And summer camp just doesn't go as long, so just so everyone's aware of that. We'd be looking at Wednesday, September 2nd for a grade 1 through 9 start date, with a virtual day for grades 10, 11, 12. This is approved by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, has been a long-standing approval for this virtual day. It allows our high school to really welcome in our freshmen and get them situated on that first day. Then September 3rd, all students return, grades 1 through 12, and then September 8th, kindergarten and preschool launch. So I'd be seeking a motion to approve that start date and be able to notify parents and then come back with the full calendar in about 2 weeks.
Can I make the motion for discussion purposes?
Yeah, so you're the first motion? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I heard Ms. Cahill, second. So open for discussion. I heard, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask if this has been discussed with the Beverly Teachers Association already?
We sent it to President Sherman, and one of the reasons why we want to take a look at it further is she was looking at when conference dates might be, and the second professional development this year is posing a slight challenge because the statewide primary is actually on September 1st. So normally, if you remember this year, I believe it was September 23rd we had set aside for a primary election. It's much earlier than, maybe not. It's the first Tuesday of the month, right? So how it falls is how it falls. But it just poses a challenge with where we start with our first 2 PD days. So making sure, we'd like to put it in January. We just need to see where the high school exam days are, so we're not causing an unintentional problem and then returning to the committee to say we missed something. So we just want to make sure we're taking a look at that, and what the BTA mentioned about conferences, having those potentially more firmed up from where they are right now.
So the motion, as I understand it, is to approve the start day with further discussion on the rest of the calendar.
Yes.
Got it. And we have a first and a second for that. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 0. That passes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. Maybe not. Yep, moving on. All right. So we were contacted about 2 weeks ago from an agency within the federal government about the National Youth Tobacco Survey. So they conduct random selections. Beverly High School has been the school randomly selected. Work was previously completed by a now doged, if that can be a verb, governmental office. I met with the person today from and said that, there have been certain things that normally this information would have gone out to districts in early August. But because of the government shutdown, because of government reorganization, the notifications have only gone out in the first week of January, so they're really scrambling. The focus areas of this survey will be on tobacco, nicotine, and vaping. If you're not aware, nicotine itself is now bypassing tobacco and things known as Zyn pouches, Zyn tins. Others are now basically taking the tobacco out and giving you the direct nicotine hit. It's one of the reasons why some communities are moving forward with a nicotine-free generation move to say people past this birth date will not be able to purchase tobacco in communities. Students can opt out. This is not mandatory. Parent letters will be sent home. Caregiver letters will be sent home. It's about a 20-minute survey window. Average survey completion time is somewhere in 12 to 15-minute range. Approximately 8 classes of students will be selected, 2 at each grade level. And then the school will be given a $750 honorarium that will be under the principal's discretion, Principal Thomas's discretion to use as he sees fit for student activities. All right. There's no need for a motion or anything like that. Just want to make the committee and the community aware. I also want to take a moment to talk about some cost savings that the district has been able to do. So our maintenance team of Peter Green and Gilberto Beauchamp really deserve a lot of credit. I want to thank John Coffey for making me aware of this. We had a conversation, a concerned community member reached out to me really with the best intentions about an issue that had developed in lanes 3 and 4 of our indoor track at the field house. The field house is original construction to the school, not part of the rebuild. And so the floor seems to have settled in some areas. And as you can see in the pictures, as the rubberized track surface was pulled back, there was some settling, and the bubbling or what was there really didn't show up well in the pictures. So we left that picture out, but you can see how the floor had collapsed underneath. Our team, a conservative estimate was that this would have cost around $5,000. Having worked in school facilities over the past several years, I would say that that is a very conservative number to have had a company come out and to do this work. So Peter and Gilberto really did an amazing job helping us to make sure that we're being focused on cost savings and figuring out how we can do things in-house. If in the future something needs to be done outside to further mitigate and repair, then we will do that. But I just want to give recognition for these employees for the hard work they did coming in on a Saturday to make this happen. All right, superintendent rubric. 1 second. If you could just pass those down that way. All right. So the cover page I gave you, the superintendent rubric, the entire superintendent rubric, this presentation will be shared with you. It'll be posted to our website as normal. But for anybody at home who might like, the QR code will scan directly into the webpage hosted by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. There's also a hot link at the bottom that will bring to the exact same page. I, for one, am usually frustrated by people who just put the QR code in. But if you were looking at it on your phone, how do you get to the QR code? Maybe I just can't figure it out myself, but it's a challenge. So I like to make sure the QR code's actually in there. I mean, the web link is actually in there. So the superintendent rubric, similar to all educator rubrics, are broken up into 4 areas. First, 4 broad categories for known as the standards, and those are instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. The indicators, those really dive down into specific knowledge, skills, performance areas for each standard. The elements are very more specific descriptors of the actions and behaviors related to, and it breaks down the indicators into specific aspects of educator practice and provide an opportunity for you as evaluators to provide me with detailed feedback. And then finally, descriptors. So performance descriptors are observable and measurable statements of educator actions and behaviors aligned to each element and serve, as the basis. So as the basis for identifying the level of teaching or leadership performance in one of 4 categories. So the 4 categories are unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient or exemplary, And so the cover page I gave you is actually taken from the superintendent rubric. It's about a 25-page document or so. There are lots of rubrics I'm familiar with right now, so if I'm off on my page numbers, I apologize. But rather than printing out the entire thing, you have the web link. And this gives you the overview of not only the superintendent, but the district leader rubric. And so with that also, I'm just going to move forward. And if you turn to page 2, DESE has actually identified focus indicators. Now, my research and their editing on the 2025 and 2026 up top, where they just changed the 5 and the 6, their editing, and again, this web link will take you to this packet, and the QR code will also take you to this packet, so you have it in perpetuity. They identify for superintendents and district administrators some focus indicators to really help with setting this, because the rubric, while really comprehensive, can also be overwhelming in trying to hit everything. Now, just because these are focus indicators, if you see an area of tremendous growth and performance, or you see an area of dereliction at any time from this main page, you're welcome to provide feedback, rating, and those types of things. If, for example, family and community engagement is woefully lacking, then that's something as superintendent I would need to know about. So the areas that they've selected, and I'm not just, I actually would have chosen these myself, are instruction and evaluation, so supervision and evaluation of staff, environment, human resource management and development, sharing responsibility, definitely a growth area for me, and continuous learning. And so I say sharing responsibility because I'm someone who just likes to get things done and sometimes likes to just forge ahead. And it's definitely an area of now leading an organization needing to make sure that that responsibility is shared. So as an example, in instruction, I will lean heavily on Ms. Brown for her help as the assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction. For HR, management, and development, I will lean heavily on Dr. Morgan for that area and portfolio. So just those are two examples of making sure that we are moving the district forward. So those would be my proposed. I don't know that you have to vote on them as the evaluation was set in the fall time. Sorry. Baby's been up a lot lately. And so the reality is that these are the 6. I'm happy to take any feedback you have as you think about them over the next few weeks. But DESE also has put together some really nice guides and has laid out focus, feedback, collaboration, and support, and then provided some really good detailed bullets to look for information. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them now, but I know that's a lot of information, so I'm happy for you to digest it and then come back to it in my next superintendent report in about 2 weeks. But seeing nothing immediately, I'm happy to, yep.
I think Ms. Frost has a comment or question.
Just for those of us who are new to the, DESE rubric process, are there any resources available to us to look at, like, what an example of data or evidence might be? Because I know that, like, with your formative, you don't have to submit the binder of evidence or portfolio of evidence. But if we're not familiar with what it looks like, does that resource even exist at the superintendent level?
Oh, I'll let you answer at the superintendent level.
So I believe it does because I have seen it previously in the past, and then while researching this following our meeting a few weeks ago, I have seen resources. I did not really dive deeply into them, but it's also something I can reach out to MASC on. But I believe DESE has archived information, and I can also make sure that link, that direct link, is available to you for that.
Because we can look into that too. I just didn't know if such a
I
resource
believe it does exist
existed.
because
Yeah, cool. That's
as
awesome.
I was searching out this information, I do recall seeing it.
Yeah, if it's okay if I call on myself also. I spoke to Alicia Mallon earlier today because I had the question about whether or not we could vote on a meeting that we weren't physically here for. So I did ask her again if she would revisit with me for my own benefit the process, the formative, the summative, and she offered to, there was some discussion about whether or not we needed assistance in that way, for example. So there is a lot of MASC support. I know I'm going to need it. So I think as a committee, we have that available to us as well. If we wanted to see any samples, to get guidance, like she's very much available for us. So I had the same question, Ms. Frost.
And if
Mr. Taylor, yeah.
When is the evaluation? When do we have to do that?
It needs to be completed by the end of the year. A formative should be completed through the midway point, which I would say would probably be in the late February, early March. Now, that doesn't exactly, I understand, line up with midway through the year. Yeah. However, given the reconstitution of the committee, entry planning, things like that, it would appear to me to be the best window. However, I defer to the committee. I also would respectfully recommend that we should probably consider a retreat option, not just for evaluation, but to maybe look at the Massachusetts Municipal Association, and some other organizations to perhaps come in, have conversations, speak, give presentations for the committee to understand Chapter 70 and some further delving into topics as we launch here.
So I think it would be a good idea if we put something on the agenda for the next meeting of the whole. I know that will be Ms. Visnick's agenda, but I'll make that suggestion to her because I think we should really think about scheduling that review, to your point and to your question. I was thinking somewhere end of January. We're going to have to decide that. And then we'll have to talk about your suggestion of a retreat as well. So for discussion purposes, when Ms. Visnick gets back, I'll suggest to her that we add that to the agenda for discussion. Okay.
If there are no other questions, I'm happy to move forward. So I just want to do a quick budget overview. I want to thank Ms. Puglisi, Emma, for providing me overview timeline. So in December 2025, we released a community survey for the community. January 2026, we're currently building budget priorities, setting by the leadership and school committee. If you have not had the opportunity to schedule a time with me, I can be flexible, just need to know in advance because of night events, either personal or in district. By the way, another district event coming up this week of Saturday, a little winter wonderland over at Lynch Park. Feel free to reach out to Ms. Quill, or I will send another link out for members of the committee to have one-on-one time with me. I know many of you have already done that beyond budget, but to really identify and talk about your budget priorities so we can find a way to either weave them in or say this is going to be a 2 or 3 year project because some priorities require that. So the governor's proposed budget will be released. District leadership calculates known and anticipated budget increases based on our contractual responsibilities. In February, district leadership and building principals will review enrollments, staffing needs, and overall operational costs. We will then further calculate the budget impact of non-contractual recommended budget changes. In March, we'll review the available budget offsets and possible revenue opportunities. We'll be looking to continue to review enrollments and analyze staffing and other operational costs. Enrollments sometimes can be a foggy crystal ball because you never know who might show up over the summer and tilt scales one way or another. In April, the House Ways and Means budget is released for the public. And then in collaboration with city officials, the city contribution and Chapter 70 state funding are presented to the school committee. And I will present a balanced budget for the school committee to review. My plan is to present multiple options that look at level service, look at what are the priorities that have been identified and those costs, and how do we plan for those in the future, and then to present any potential cuts that may need to be. So really trying to make sure that we set forth a vision for excellence for the Beverly Public Schools to continue our greatness and further improve and support all of our students in the years to come. And, you know, move forward from there. So in May, we'll have a public hearing. School committee will vote to recommend a fiscal 2027 budget for the city council to consider. Senate Ways and Means budget will then be released to the public. And then finally, in June of 2026, the school committee budget is recommended to the city council by the mayor. City council votes on proposed budgets. Fiscal year 2027 school budget is finalized. And then hopefully in June, I think it actually happened last year for the first time in many years, that we had a budget adopted prior to June 30th in the state. Sometimes that budget adoption is well into the summer or even the fall. So that's just a timeline overview. This has been discussed frequently in the past, even this year at school committee, but I wanted to make sure that I provided a brief overview for this new committee. While these athletes are not here this evening, and we will do formal recognitions for them, I did want to take a moment to recognize 3 athletes in particular. So first is Jacob Klass joining the 1,000 point club for the boys varsity basketball team. Really an amazing accomplishment, and special thanks to Athletic Director Wood and Principal Thomas for sending me videos that are now posted on the district Facebook page. It was really great to see the school, and you can see in this picture, the school came out to support him and be there for him, so it's really amazing. So congratulations, Mr. Klass. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate Logan Bowen of the Beverly Boys hockey team. 100 points. So in hockey, a point is calculated not just by goals, but also by assists. And so congratulations to Logan for this accomplishment. If I'm correct, Logan is number 7 in the picture. So number 7 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, Logan Bowen. And then our final athletic recognition for this evening is for Braden Pouliot. Apologize if I mispronounced your last name, Braden. But 100 points. So he is only the 5th wrestler in Beverly High School history to achieve 100 points. Congratulations to him. And knowing how hard wrestling is, I was a 1 season and only myself. It is probably the most seriously conditioned sport I've ever seen. And so congratulations to him, his coaches, his family, and all. I do also want to say that I know I mentioned in our last meeting, but the Beverly girls hockey team is on a tear. They brought a 10-1 win. I wasn't able to make it, but my daughter was there with several of her teammates. And so on Saturday night, they really brought it to Newburyport in a 10-1 win. They beat Medford last, I think, Wednesday, 5-2. They're really playing well. It's really great to see the Beverly, Ipswich, and Danvers girls coming together. They play a very physical game. And it's just great to see. I'm also really looking forward to getting out to our girls basketball and any other sports that we have to support them. I think it's really important for school and district leaders to make sure that we're at these events. And I try to make sure that I publish all of our events coming up. I'm super excited for Dracula as our stage right production. And I believe that is it for right now, and I'd like to call forward Ms. Eeyore, Mr. Pradanis, and I don't know the student's name, so I apologize, but you can introduce yourself to present on an international trip to London, England for the spring of 2027.
Hello
My name is Sarah Perdonis, and this is Miss Orr, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about our Young Women's Leadership trip to London that we're presenting about today and hoping for approval. So, a little bit about myself. Sarah Perdonis. I'm a junior at Beverly High School, and I attended last year a Young Women's Leadership Conference in Italy. So, why I wanted to go to Italy was because I wanted to learn about new, diverse female leadership perspectives that I wouldn't otherwise learn about in America. I also wanted to develop leadership and confidence skills that I wouldn't get to learn just like in a regular classroom. I wanted to learn about a new culture, especially like Italian culture, and I wanted to make new memories that could last me a while in my life. So the impact on me was I had an increased confidence. I was able to speak here today. I wouldn't have been able to do it without this trip. It pushed me out of my comfort zone to go to another country without my parents or my friends or anything. And I was inspired by the new, unique female leadership perspectives that I wouldn't have got to learn about here, and I didn't expect to learn about some of the ones I learned about there. I was educated on different cultures that I wouldn't have got to learn about back home, and the experience was truly just unforgettable, and I'll never forget the things that I learned there. And for London, I want to be able to build on these leadership skills that I learned about back in Italy. I also want to hear about new perspectives from people in London and see how those kind of differentiate from those in Italy and the ones back here too. And I really want to be able to see other girls maybe who were in my position back in my sophomore year to be able to have this opportunity as well. And I want to explore London's specific history and culture.
So as you can see, I have to hold it. I don't have to. Oh, perfect. As you can see, here are some pictures. These are from the London trip that the high school took in 2024. So we were able to go to the West End to a show, go to Camden Yards, the London Tower, go to Parliament, and a lot of bonding. We were able to see the changing of the guards just by happenstance. You can see Miss Mariskelchi in the bottom right. Very excited to take a photo. And our Instagram page to keep the parents and community members informed. And I believe you can see that Barb Fecto and Phil Coder, the first two followers. So for the proposed trip, the itinerary is ranging from Friday evening, February 12th, so the start of February vacation, through Saturday, February 20th. So no school will be missed. And while we're in London, we have a workshop with a female member of parliament, a leadership scavenger hunt in downtown London, Kensington Palace tour for the whole group, a global exchange with London students of equal, motivation to be leaders in an authentic setting, a workshop with a female scientist, and the students will conduct experiments with that scientist at the L'Oreal Young Scientist Center at the Royal Institution, a workshop at the Premier League Football Club. So it is not just academic, but also athletic for leaders, the female leaders at our school, a global exchange with a local group of local female athletes in London, a workshop with a women's suffrage expert, which was a component in the Italy trip that really made it a holistic experience. Hearing from a minority group or a different lens was really eye-opening. A museum tour in the Museum of London, Royal Courts of Justice visit, a West End theater performance, and then a workshop with the Women's Charity where the students will be able to participate and collaborate with the charity and do a service project. So why this trip? Well, having the experience of going in London 2024, it was a very attainable trip. The language barrier didn't exist. It was open to all students, which I firmly believe is important to open up experiences to as many students as possible, so that way they're able to attend. We were able to take 22 girls and 4 boys, and the purpose of the trip was mostly sightseeing, and it was the first time an international tour had happened, like for me, and Mr. Stanchel and Mrs. Mariskelchi came with me. And it was after COVID. I mean, really saw that students were on screens and they needed to be more doing because you can't fake an experience. So when we went to Italy in 2025, it was open to all female students. And because of the nature of the workshops, it was limited to 30 participants. So we took 26 female students, 10 DECA members, 11 student athletes, and many of them were involved in clubs, but some of them hadn't found their niche at the high school. So having this trip was really important because they were able to find a part in the school community outside of the school. 18 girls were on the wait list for this trip, and they weren't able to go because of that. So opening up another option for this trip would allow at least half of those girls to go because half of them are currently seniors. And having the workshops with the leaders in the area in that country was an element that didn't exist on the London trip, and I think it really added a lot of value to the trip. So why are we here now? Because Italy really taught me the importance of fundraising, and starting early is important. So the price for the trip goes up February 1st, so I kind of wanted to get approval sooner rather than later. I've already put in a request to use the CAF for January 27th for a parent informational meeting. Fundraising that we did for the trip to Italy started in the spring, so it would be this upcoming spring, where I had the students who are going on the trip actually take part in a leadership activity. They had to bring 5 donation letters to local businesses and collect donations, and we were able to make $5,000 selling raffle tickets for those baskets. Then those same community members that owned a restaurant or business that had food, like Harbor Sweets and La Cuchara, we were able to get donations of food and sell little passports in that upper left picture for a Taste of Beverly event at the high school, and we were able to raise $2,000 doing that. The upper right picture is what it looked like. It was chaos and fun. So as students, we prepare for workshops. Sarah can attest to the fact that we had workshops talking about etiquette and participation. As a public speaking teacher, it was really important for me that our students came off engaged. Nonverbal communication is also communication. So making sure that they were able to actively listen and plan questions that were appropriate for the circumstance. And we had a lot of community support. Coastal Glass and Windows made a donation. La Cuchara did a eat night. Copper Dog Books did a night. Like, there was a lot of community support. Oh, and Worthy Girl. Anyway, so those fundraising costs helped defray student costs. The raffle tickets, the money that each student got went straight to their budget. However, the Taste of Beverly and the events that community restaurants and shops did, it helped us with transportation. So making it equitable for all students who are going on the trip. We left right from the school on a bus, so everyone was together from the start, which was important as a mom. I feel like controlling what you can was good. So who would be going? I think that the same group that went to Italy is excited to go to London. So the chaperones are Miss Mary Skelchi, who's the advisor for the DECA Club, Susan Richardson, who is a well-respected English teacher at the high school, and she also is the graduation coordinator. Anne Flaherty, so she is a basic life support instructor and has over 17 years of athletic training experience and has served as the medical personnel for BHS camps on the grounds, and me. So my experience with experiential learning and trip planning and public speaking, students authentically learning outside of the classroom is my passion.
And finally, oh yeah, next one. Okay, and finally, I just want to go kind of overall the impact on the group as a whole. So it inspired us not to fear being a female leader. I know it's typically like a male-dominated field, but we felt more inspired to be able to speak up and do the things we're passionate about. We also made new friendships. I know me personally, I met a lot of new people I would not know otherwise. We also had an increased sense of BHS community, like she said earlier. A lot of us didn't really have that like niche or that spot where we kind of felt like we fit in, but this trip really made it possible for us to do that. It also opened us up to new opportunities like the one I'm speaking about today, the London trip. And finally, we had a big understanding of our privilege and appreciation for this trip that we had in Italy, and the future went to London. And that's all we have for our slides.
If it's okay, I'll just start and say I think you did a wonderful job, and I think you have a wonderful public speaking teacher. Also, tonight, between CISL earlier and some of the things that we're hearing today, I never thought I'd say that I wanted to go back to high school, but I really think what you guys are doing is tremendous, and I love the idea of this.
I make a motion, we approve the trip.
Second.
I probably was supposed to do that yet again before I opened it up for discussion. I'll learn, I promise. So we have first Mayor Cahill and a second Mr. Taylor. Now would be the time to open it up for discussion. I'll refer to my prior comments. Ms. Robinson?
I just wanted to say that I was so excited to see this on the agenda tonight because just the intentionality behind this trip and having heard the students speak about their trip to Italy last time, I'm just so impressed with what we're able to do, and you can just tell that this is more than a vacation. It's an experience and something they'll take with them forever. So I just think it's awesome. If there's anything we can do to help with fundraising, I would love to be part of that because I just think it's awesome. So
Ms.
yay.
Coelho? Ms. Coelho?
Thank you. I have a really cool candy fundraiser that would help. The kids love it. It did good. Somebody at our school did it. So Lorinda's not here. I'll step in and I'll be Lorinda. So what I'm hearing is potentially one of the chaperones is a nurse or is capable of being a nurse. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mayor Cahill?
Thanks. Mrs. Orr, this is awesome. As usual, I get a couple questions. The organization that's running the program, is it the same one that ran the one in Italy? What's the name of the organization?
So the organization is ACIS, and they have been really good with financial assistance also for students. When I mentioned today, I just told Sarah this when I got here tonight, when I said that we were presenting tonight and a student was helping me, they said, oh, well, we'll give her a $500 scholarship if the trip's approved. So they're very, very helpful. And because we have such a great track record with our students, we're able to earn scholarship money that has helped two students go at least to the Italy trip. So that's positive also.
So that's the organization, and this one also girls only, just based on the organization and the program. Gotcha. And I know you put it up. What are the dates again? Next spring?
Yeah, 2027, so February 12th to the 20th.
February, okay, thanks. I think it's fantastic. I'm excited for you all. I do want to just point out two, just because this is fun to talk about, and important. There's a really powerful English or British woman who you may not get to meet because she's kind of busy. Her name's Emma Hayes, and she's the head coach of the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team. She came from a background of coaching professionally in England. So you may not get to see her. I don't know. It'll be, maybe they can pull her in. And then the other one I just want to mention because she's, I believe, one of the very fascinating leaders on the world stage of the 20th century, Madeleine Albright, who served as Secretary of State here in the United States. She spent several years of her childhood in London when her family fled the Nazis because they were Czech natives, and she lived in London during that time. Just a little historical note, but again, incredibly talented, powerful women leaders at high levels. I think it's really exciting. Thank you for bringing this forward, and hope it's a huge success.
Mr. Taylor?
So one note, thank you very much for presenting. You did a great job speaking. Thank you so much. So one note and then a question for you. And the note is, the very first mayor of Beverly was a guy named John Baker, and he was a huge women's suffragist, and you'll get to meet, according to your documents, somebody who's very active in women's suffrage, which relates to the women's right to vote. I wanted to know, what protections do you have for parents who pay for the trip if for some reason the trip is canceled or something like that?
So the trip offers 3 levels of insurance. So all students are covered with a basic insurance plan. So I think they are able to get at least 50% of their money back. And that's just included. So I don't have the page open for the 3 levels, which I should have, but there's Ultimate and Ultimate Plus. So it's ranged through just the deposit, and then full money is Ultimate Plus. So it's just how much they want to pay for the trip as a whole.
So that would be paid for by the parent. Okay.
Can I call it myself? I just want to make sure, you said that there were some scholarship options available? Okay. And that is through the organization? Okay, that's great.
But the money is under the discretion of the school. So the students who are able to register before February 1st, we get a bonus scholarship. Last year for Italy, I divided that evenly amongst all of the students who had signed up.
So we have a first and a second. So we have a motion. So I think we can vote to pass. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 0. Good job. Great job.
Thank you, Ms. Orr. Thank you, Sarah. Both great job. And that at this time concludes my report. I will be presenting next time on DECA. We had a number of students. Those pictures, not of students, but of the students who won awards and will be moving on to states, will be posted to the district Facebook page later this evening or tomorrow. And so we had quite a number of students placed last week under Ms. Marichowski's leadership at that conference held at the Ferncroft.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Taylor?
So about your report, you gave us a timeline of when the budget is going to be presented by the House and the Senate in Massachusetts. Do you think it would be wise for the committee to consider bringing Senator Lovely and Representative Bowen before the committee?
I defer to the body on that. I think that any opportunity to get in front of our representatives or have our representatives in front of us is really critical, but also that they know the specifics of what we're asking for and how best the state can shift. The mayor has done really great work in conversations with numerous members in state government on these matters through conversations I've had with him. And I do believe that, the best advocacy we can do is not just from the body itself, but from members of the public to be able to speak knowledgeably about this. It's one of the reasons why I publicized so frequently the forums that the governor's office was holding on Chapter 70 funding. And in all honesty, from what I hear, those were not extraordinarily well attended, but the public, the general public, is not very well versed in school finance and understanding how it works. And I think we've seen in other municipalities across the Commonwealth over the past 2 years or 3 years that maybe some leaders of school districts aren't well versed in school finance as well. So, working with Ms. Puglisi and others, we're really making sure that we're watching what we're spending here and being very cautious with taxpayer dollars. It's one of the reasons why I presented that cost savings. It's a small amount of money, but it shows a mentality of trying to make sure that we're being secure with our money, but also realizing that there are exponential costs that go into operating school districts. All right. And we need the state to once again take a look under the hood of how Chapter 70 or circuit breaker or other reimbursements are calculated. So I will do my best to make sure that they are here for those conversations when they happen, but I defer to the body on when and the topics you would like to discuss.
Mayor Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Along those lines, I would say that my guess would be that Representative Bowen, representatives will be having their meetings with House Ways and Means probably starting by February, as they move towards an April budget debate. As Dr. Cushing pointed out, the governor's proposed budget comes first, end of January. Then the House does their work through late April, and then the Senate takes a look at what the House has passed and puts theirs out in May. So it couldn't hurt if maybe we want to have an agenda item where we kind of talk through what's our ask to them. I mean, there's, and then maybe have them in to that point. I mean, generally, when we have them in, they present to us. As Dr. Cushing said, the Student Opportunity Act is in place and the Chapter 70 formula is being revisited. But when the Student Opportunity Act was passed, it was a number of years of committed funding, and this FY27, this coming state fiscal year, is the last of the SOA committed years, right? So they're looking to, whatever changes might get made to Chapter 70, they're looking at implementing an FY28, so a year from this spring process. We need the state to send more money our way through SOA this coming year, and we need them to do something with the overages in the fair share tax money to help us out as well. So, maybe we kind of dig into that conversation here and try to get, one or both of them to a meeting in February, maybe the first February meeting. Just a thought.
Ms. Robinson?
I was on, sorry. Do Senator Love, did they present at our joint council meeting often with, I was trying to remember. I feel like they've come to our joint council.
I think they have. It depends on the agenda, but I think they have.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of Representative Bowen and her ability to weigh in with Ways and Means, we might want to get her sooner. I think that's part of why she's holding her, meeting on budget desires and issues and concerns. What is that, February 5th that she's got scheduled?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that's another opportunity for everybody to hear from them too.
Ms. Frost?
Just thinking about when they would be able to come and see us. I think, numbers are so big and they kind of seem nebulous. It would be a nice opportunity if we were able to have concrete information of what it looks like this could be gone. When we schedule the time, maybe to let them know that these are the realities versus, you know what I mean? I feel like we know that there's some bad money news coming, but what does that look like for our students and for our community? It would be cool to share that with them and whoever will listen.
Anything else? Microphone's on. Go ahead, please, Mr. Taylor.
it went off. I think to Ms. Ross and Member Robinson's point, and everybody's points, I think the more we can get our representatives in front of us to talk about some of these issues. Karen, thank you so much for doing the financial forecasting. I mean, that really puts down that we are looking at a $4 million deficit going forward. And we really need to think about this as a community. So I would also suggest that we need to think about getting we have a congressional primary coming up, a gubernatorial primary. We are really, really a big city, and those people need to come to the table too.
Dr. Cushing, are we okay to move to the school committee chair updates?
We are good to move forward.
Okay. Before I do so, I want to apologize to the members of your cabinet that I did not acknowledge, because I know that there's a lot of work that goes in, not just to building the agenda, but into participating, and to obviously all the information that goes into it. So I just want to say to Ms. Emma Puglisi, Ms. Erin Brown, and Ms. Bethany Splansky, I'm sorry I didn't say thank you for being here earlier. Thank you for everything. I only have a couple of school committee chair updates. I think I am not the only one that received a letter from a student at Centerville Elementary School, but I did say to my friend Bodie B that I would mention this to my friends. So if I could just take a quick second to read his letter and to let everybody know about an event that's coming up. The letter I received, which was very well written, and I really appreciated his penmanship. Dear Ms. Ducharme, my name is Bodie B, and I am a fourth grader at Centerville Elementary School. Did I say Centerville? I did say Centerville, right? Thank you. Our student council is hosting a blood drive with the Red Cross on Thursday, January 22nd from 2 to 7 p.m. As kids, we are not able to give blood, so we are hoping you can help us out. We are writing today to ask you to give a little bit of your time to donate. Did you know that 1 pint of blood can save 3 lives? Additionally, people in the world need blood every 2 seconds, exclamation point. You may even know someone in your own life who has benefited from a blood drive. Please spread the word with your friends and neighbors who may also be interested in donating blood. I will be at Centerville School on January 22nd, and I hope to see you there. Sincerely, Bodie B. So again, that is the 6th annual blood drive at Centerville Elementary School, which is at 17 Hull Street, and that's on Thursday, January 22nd from 2 to 7 p.m. You can go to www.redcrossblood.org if you want to schedule an appointment. Let's see, what else do I have? I want to remind everybody that in Dr. Cushing's most recent newsletter that he spoke about the option to participate as a resident rep on our finance and facilities and CISL subcommittees. The preference is that anybody who submits application is able to commit to be in person as much as possible. I think the hope is that we might be able to finalize the members of the resident reps to those subcommittees at the next upcoming school committee meeting. So if anybody listening, or if anybody knows anybody who's listening who might be interested in that, I'm just putting a plug in for that. That is the pathway that I took to get here, and I think it's just a really great way to be informed, just to participate, and so I just think it's wonderful. I want to mention that I went to the Beverly High School PTSO meeting on January 12th. There was a small attendance, but it was a great conversation. I'm just going to mention a couple of things. Dr. Cushing already mentioned that DECA, Principal Mark Thomas mentioned that DECA just had their regional competition. 78 kids are moving to states, plus a couple of alternates, excuse me. It's a little lower than usual. It sounds like the competition at DECA has gotten a little bit tougher. Still a really great program. It's now a 2-day competition. Let's see, what else do we have? We already heard our student representatives talk about midterms, which are coming up. Principal Mark Thomas mentioned that he will be coming to school committee in early February to present his programs of study, which is essentially his course catalog. So we'll get a chance to hear more about that and vote on that. There was a representative, Rachel Redmond from BevEd there, letting everybody know that at the end of January, the grant cycle starts for award in April. They get to be used the following year. Let's see, some of the ways that BevEd is funded is through private donations, but also the Honor a Teacher program. And then there was just mention of, we heard a little bit about, and we're able to vote on the women's leadership field trip or conference that we attended earlier this evening. And then Principal Mark Thomas also just made mention of the France and Italy trips that are coming up, and highlighted that Italy is a culinary trip and it's not a language trip. So I just really appreciated that there was an opportunity for kids to participate that didn't take a language. So there was a lot more content to that, but I wanted to just mention that. One of the things that I also wanted to mention that I think there has been some discussion about, but maybe not formally amongst this body, is perhaps a desire for representatives of this body to attend PTO meetings. And so I would just ask, that is something that happened a long time ago that kind of faded away because of COVID, and then for a variety of different reasons. I don't think that was happening with any regularity. So I would suggest to the body that it would be great if we could sort of split up and figure out how to get the schedules for the PTO meetings, and then maybe amongst ourselves figure out, schedules being what they are, if we could sort of share the responsibility to attend. Maybe I went to the high school one, maybe I go to a Hannah one, and then that's an opportunity for anybody who attends those to report back and let us know what's happening at the school level and the PTO level, and also an opportunity for people at those meetings to ask us questions. There is, of course, an opportunity to meet with those that are organizing the PTO meetings to find out what's on the agenda and for them to let us know about anything that they want us to talk about in particular. So I would just offer that to the body for further conversation. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is just a couple of the upcoming school committee dates. So we have on Wednesday, January 28th, we'll start with the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meeting at 6:15. Again, hybrid here at the middle school in the library. And then immediately following that at 7:30 is the Committee of the Whole meeting. And then we have two meetings in February, February 11th and February 25th. Similar timeframes. Subcommittee starts at 6:15 with the meeting of the entire body to follow at 7:30. We've got CISL followed by regular school committee on February 11th, and Finance and Facilities followed by Committee of the Whole on February 25th. And then I think, any questions on that? Next on the agenda is a committee report for the Standing Subcommittee on Finance and Facilities with Ms. Coelho as the chair, but I don't think you've really had one, so I don't think there's really, you have. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. Are you ready to give an update? Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's okay. I was not the chair of F&F when we had our last meeting, but I do have a few notes, so I will give a little bit of an update. Finance and Facilities last met on December 17th. We approved gift to schools. We had a presentation from Christina Leal for updates on the school nutrition program. And Miss Emma Puglisi gave us the FY26 year-to-date budget review. But like I said, I was not the chair, so I did not have the notes, so I don't have anything else written down. But F&F will next meet with its new subcommittee with me as the chair, along with Karen Robinson and our new committee member, John Taylor. We will also have Madam Chair Visnick supervising as our mentor as needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. And may I just say that many of us are doing this for the first time, whether it's providing a report or chairing something, and I just want to give us all a little bit of props. And for anything not going swell, we'll figure it out and we'll get there. And thank you for everybody for your patience. Okay. I have to get some stuff ready. Sorry about that. Okay. So next is the Standing Committee on Curriculum, Instruction, and Student Life, CISL. So that would typically be President Visnick, but of course she's not here. So I'm going to provide the update on the CISL discussion that just happened just prior to this meeting. I'm going to do my absolute best because that was a really robust conversation and a presentation. So if you could give me just a second. Okay. So let's see. We started with, well, we had a couple different presenters. We had Dr. Jennifer Thomas, Mr. Paul Casey, the Humanities Director at Beverly High School, providing an overview of some of the curriculum enhancements that they've been doing sort of on a rolling basis in various categories, from science to math to reading and language to humanities. I think they did a wonderful job just sort of highlighting for us how they're using the grant money for professional development and to further enrich just the curriculum that they're delivering to the students. They also are, forever learning about how they're rolling things out, how they could improve things. And I think it's important to note, and please, Ms. Brown, jump in if I'm saying anything incorrectly, there's a lot of intentionality around what they roll out, when they roll them out, the timeline for that, and then how they monitor the progress and then report back and identify any areas where there might be room for improvement, because of course, new curriculum needs to be available and sort of used for a little while before we can identify whether things are working, not working, need to be tweaked, etc. So I think they did a really great job just sort of highlighting for us all the things that are happening at the high school. Once again, I never said I thought I might want to go back to high school, but that was fantastic. Also really appreciate that some of our student representatives talked about the prom that's coming up and some other great things that are happening at all levels across our district. There's a red carpet dance coming up at the middle school. National Honor Society. We heard an update on jazz. We also had a really great presentation from Laura Sweatman. Am I saying her? Sweatman. I'm sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Thank you, Ms. Brown. About elementary literacy and how they're sort of like how they are developing the curriculum. And again, adjusting on an as-needed basis at various levels, whether you're in those early elementary school years where you're learning to read, or whether you're in the later elementary school years where you're reading to learn. So she broke some of that information for us as well, broke down some of that information for us as well. She talked about decoding, encoding, and how they're using that with some intentionality to identify comprehension. And these are all Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction level conversations. And again, she gave us a little bit of update on progress monitoring and how they're using that. Did I do okay? Excellent. Okay, so we have a couple policies to review, and my computer went to sleep, so I apologize. These are policies that we need to bring up for our first reading.
Are you going to put these policies up?
I don't have these policies to put up. By any chance, Dr. Cushing or Ms. Quill, do you have the ability to bring these policies up on the screen for us? So the first one, let me just go back to that. So the first one, again, this is for our first reading. This is policy GBED. It's the tobacco use on school property by staff members prohibited. Yeah, of course. Yes, Mayor Cahill.
This one's an easy one because it's against state law to use
Okay.
tobacco on school property.
Okay.
I'm getting assistance.
Okay. So I have it here, but I don't have the Zoom to get into. Sorry about that, everybody. I have it up. I just don't have the ability to share it because I'm not in the Zoom, so I'm not driving. Sorry. Ms. Quill, usually the way I get it is I go into the district site and then I go into the school committee section, then I go down to policy, and then I just do like Control F to find it. You got it. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I guess to Mayor Cahill's point, this is law, so there's not really much to debate here. I think before we open it up to discussion, this is just a first reading, not a second reading. So I think I need a first and a second if we want to open it up for, no, I do not. I don't? I think I do.
Well, there's no action taken at a first reading.
There's not?
No.
Well, thank you.
We only would vote at a second, yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Robinson, our veterans that have been doing this a lot longer are shaking their heads. So, okay, cool. All right, I love that for us. Okay, so the next one is IHBD, and that is Compensatory Education, Title I. Thank you, Mayor Cahill, Ms. Robinson, and Ms. Coelho. It looks like this one was last reviewed in July of 2023. There's no action on a first reading, but we can't have discussion about.
Oh, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we don't need a first or a second to have discussion? Okay. Does anybody have any questions on it? Okay. Sounds like Mr. Taylor might have a question. Okay. So in CISL, we did take the vote to pass it on to the next meeting for discussion. So I think I'm going to ask us to do that, even though it may or may not be necessary, just because I want to make sure that we're covering all our bases. So I'm going to ask for, at the risk of being ultra conservative, I'm going to ask for a motion, first and second, open it up for discussion, and then vote to move it on to the next meeting for final review, if that's okay, even though that may not be necessary. What do you guys think? I know this is my job, but.
we need that for the first one. I could be wrong, but I think just.
Oh, your microphone, Ms. Coelho, sorry.
I don't think we need that for the first reading.
Okay.
I think for the first reading, we just review them.
Okay.
And then they go to the committee of the whole.
All right.
If I'm
Then I'll
not
just-
mistaken, and then that's when we vote on them, correct, Mayor?
I'll leave it then.
Yeah, they're just,
Okay,
they're
not that I'm
required to
doubting
be on
anybody,
two.
I just have made a couple mistakes and I'm learning, so, okay.
It's all good.
Okay. All right, so then can we bump to the next one? It's IHBF, it's homebound instruction. Any questions or comments on this one? Okay, then the second one is IHBG. That one is homeschooling. Thank you for getting us there. It looks like the source for this one was the Mass Association of School Committees. This one was last reviewed again on July 1st, 2023. So unless there's any discussion items on these four first reviews of policies, we can move on to the negotiations subcommittee. That the chairperson for that is go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to ask, with the situation, it references the competency determination at the very bottom. I don't know if that's something that CISL wants to, if that's something that,
You thinking you might want to refer it to CISL for discussion?
or whatever committee is looking at this.
Well, I think.
I want to review that. I don't know.
I think, so if I'm, oh, okay. Ms. Puglisi, go ahead. Are we spinning out of control? I love it. Thank you.
So this came out of CISL?
Got it.
Yeah, I don't think it.
That's
needs
why
to-
it's here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And could I say?
Mayor Cahill, yeah.
Sometimes we talk a lot about something on its first, on its
Okay.
first reading, and sometimes we don't. And, members are expected to kind of read through
Yep.
before the second reading
Yep.
when generally a vote's taken. So, anybody can bring up any questions, thoughts
Yep.
now or not, right?
So I think.
It's fairly less, what's the word, formal in the first reading.
Okay. So I think just as as an example of some of the things that we might be looking for, we might be looking for language where we used to refer to people as citizens and now we're using representatives, or we might refer to parents and now we're using caregivers, or maybe we're changing language from like him, her to they, although I think that probably would have happened at CISL, but I do think also it is with that example of a lens that we should be looking at this policy language. This is my understanding and opinion. I also think that in some cases, especially new committee members, to Ms. Puglisi's point, by the time it gets to us, it might have already gone to us through a subcommittee that we weren't necessarily part of. However, there are hyperlinks, in the agenda, and we get these packets early, so just as a friendly heads up. So when you get the packets and you're looking at the packets, you won't necessarily have all of the attachments in the email that you get from Ms. Quill. So you need to look at the agenda to see if there's a hyperlink to bring you to additional material that you need to look at. So like in this case, there wasn't an attachment for the 4 individual policies, but there were hyperlinks. So like just going forward, if you know that we're going to have to look at, just based on the description in the agenda, if you know that we're going to have to look at something first reading or second reading in order to be prepared for the discussion, again, this is the first time a lot of us are doing this, that's just a friendly tip. Mayor Cahill.
That's all really helpful. And sometimes the changes that might get proposed are more changes in form, but sometimes we wrangle with substantive, continuations or changes or discussions with a given policy. So it's, sometimes these get really robust and sometimes they're very straightforward and quick.
That's a fair point, because I've heard the robust conversations and then I've seen examples where things kind of move through really quickly. I want to also just remind everybody that we have that really great policy subcommittee work that's going to be happening with Jerry Cahill, Catherine Frost, Maddie Lennox, and John Taylor. So some of the grammatical things that I talked about as examples, moving things to resident, moving things to they, them, moving things to caregivers, ideally some of that's going to get flushed out. So when it comes to this kind of place, it might be more substantive conversations. So I thank you guys in advance for all that work, because I think it would be really helpful. Okay. Are we good to move on? Thank you again to our cabinet. The next section is negotiation subcommittee. Lorinda Visnick, our president, is the chairperson of negotiations. She's not here. I don't have an update. I don't have any information about the last negotiations subcommittee conversation that took place, so I don't think I can really comment on that. So if it's okay with the body, I'm going to skip past that section of the agenda, and apologies for not noticing that previously. The last part of our agenda is the policy review subcommittee. Ms. Cahill, as the chairperson, did you have anything that you wanted to say on the subject?
We have scheduled to meet on January 21st at 6:30 at the BHS library. So we have had no discussion as a committee yet on that.
Okay. And then the last section, thank you, Ms. Cahill. The last section is communications from school committee members. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. So I just wanted to briefly share a constituent experience that I think helps to explain why we continue to face a substitute shortage. So all anecdotal, but it's an experience that somebody had in applying to be a substitute. So a 20-year-old former Beverly student, someone who is well known to our schools, applied to be a substitute last May. When she was officially a sophomore, through Indeed, and Indeed notified her that the position was no longer available, which I think anybody in the Beverly schools knows that that's just not the case. So she reapplied in November through School Spring, re-entering the same information multiple times, and the application wasn't acknowledged until December. She then received a 51-page packet requiring duplicate applications, state ethics training, fingerprinting, official transcripts, multiple references, and a written philosophy. And this is all prior to being hired. She spent several hours completing the requirements and paid about $35 out of pocket just to have the application reviewed. This is not after being hired. She was eventually offered a substitute position, but still is not active in the Red Rover system, meaning she cannot begin working. As a result, the district lost nearly 4 weeks of potential substitute coverage in December, which is a time that we know many people attending and working in schools get sick. So just in a time when districts are so desperate for subs, this process seems discouraging and inefficient, and I'd like to request that we place a review of the substitute hiring and onboarding process, like on a future agenda with an eye to streamlining the steps, just to create maybe even the thought of creating like an expedited pathway for people who have already been vetted, like former students, community members, just so that, it just seems to be a fixable issue. And it makes me think, is this happening with bus drivers as well? Like, I just think it's something that we might want to just take a look at so that we can get qualified subs in our buildings, especially those who are known to our students.
Mayor Cahill.
I appreciate that, Mr. Robinson. The only thing I'll say is, and I don't know all the details, but whatever vetting, whatever background checking needs to happen, it's not enough that we might know somebody. They still gotta pass the type of background checking that might flag something that would shock and sadden. It does happen.
And I absolutely agree with what you're saying. It just seems to me that it wouldn't be part of the application process. Maybe that should come after somebody would be hired.
But we can't have them with our kids until they passed all of the checks.
Right, but maybe not to have all that be required just to apply. Like, it just seems to be something that would happen maybe during the interview process.
People don't get hired without being background checked anywhere.
Of course.
Yeah, I would never hire somebody in finance to ever work with money in business.
Right.
Ever.
I guess what I'm saying is do we need that when they're sending in their materials?
Could I address that? I just think, and I agree with what Ms. Robertson's saying, is I think sometimes we could get the application, and then before somebody comes into the classroom, fingerprints can be done in a very short amount of time. I know that the queries are run fairly quickly now compared to years ago. So I think if you could have the promise of a job pending everything else, but when you're saying, okay, do all this first, and then we'll decide whether we're going to offer you a job, it's an expense and it's a disservice to our community that we don't have the substitute personnel because they're hung up in getting the paperwork done before they've even, been promised a job.
Go ahead.
Would it be like, no, we don't want to lose the Corey. No, we can't lose the Corey. We can't lose the fingerprints. But I'm just wondering, would it be looking at what other parts of the application process we might be able to streamline? Is that what I hear you saying, is just looking at because we can't
Yes.
cut some stuff.
No, and
Right.
I don't think that anything I said actually said
Right.
we shouldn't look into people's backgrounds before we hire them. I just think that's a daunting, a 51-page application is an awful lot to ask of somebody that you might not, like, this person was available, went through all that, and still hasn't worked, and has completed all that stuff. And I think that we just need to look at it. And I'm not saying cut any corners at all. I don't know how that was interpreted that way, but I'm just saying that we need to look at the way we do things, and then, apply, then we do that once we've met the person.
I mean, because streamlining it, wouldn't it make it also easier administratively? You know what I mean? Like, not just, like I said, I don't want to cut out the necessary stuff. Sorry.
Wait, that's okay. Can we maybe let Dr. Cushing provide
Yeah, I'm
some
happy to
input?
take a look at it. I'll meet with Dr. Morgan tomorrow, and we can take a look at it, see what the full process is. I will say it's nice to have the fingerprints and other information ahead of time. I think the $35 is for we don't charge a fee for people to apply to work here, but every single employee, myself included, is responsible for our own fingerprinting costs. So what I would say is that we'll take a look at it. I will have Ms. Quill put it on my schedule for either tomorrow, depending on how wide open or not that is. But we will discuss it this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oh, Mr. Taylor.
If I can jump on, Mr. Mayor, do we, through the senior work-off program, allow our seniors to work in the schools? Because that would encourage the community to see what's going on in the schools. To the point about subs.
There might be a Dr. Cushing question. Oh, go ahead. Thank you for staying, by the way.
I was going to say, as a senior who's been through a lot of those presentations, no one's getting paid for those internships. So people would not be like working as a substitute. They would be like volunteering to assist in a classroom with the teacher there, but they're not in like a hired paid position.
Ms. Puglisi?
I am not presently aware of any current roles that are part of the senior tax work-off program that's generally coordinated outside of that. Part of that is like substitutes, right? We don't want to get into sort of messy areas with any sort of Department of Wage and Standards, Fair Labor Standards. Generally, you can't have somebody volunteer for a position that you otherwise pay for if it's an equivalent position. So while it's not volunteering, right, because they are paid by virtue of the tax work-off program, there are generally stipulations around them, and I certainly don't want to misspeak, and I'll happily defer to the mayor at any point in time, but the duration of window to which that actually covers, it's limited so that it could be applicable to a certain period's tax bill. It generally does not just sort of a revolving round door, and there are also maximums that individuals can earn and maximum number of hours that they can earn. So there are other sort of implications within that make that sort of difficult for ongoing work, and has generally been more desirable for things that is like more project-based.
Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
I'm sorry, I did have some other communications.
Oh, please, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. No, please, go ahead, yep.
So I did attend the Hannah PTO meeting last night, and they had 3 things that they wanted to share with the community in the committee. One is that our elementary school students at Hannah are doing great science work. They really love their science, and I will not describe it here at the risk of grossing people out, but the kids are doing great stuff. So that was one. The second thing they wanted you to all know is that and that's really important, the good science that's being done, and our kids are being active at Hannah, because that gives them a lot of skills to know about science and things. The second thing is they mentioned that they've implemented something called playful learning, and I'm not an educator, so I don't know what that is, but they've implemented playful learning, and that's really decreased disciplinary referrals within the school by about 40%, and we know that discipline costs a lot of money. So in an era where we've got constrained revenues and a constrained budget, that's important. And finally, they are looking for community volunteers to participate in a readathon at the end of February. And if you would like to participate in this, you should please see Dr. Cushing. He will certainly have more information on that. And I believe, now that I have ambushed him, that he is also there. Looking forward to hearing him speak tomorrow, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Anything else? from any other members? Mr. Taylor?
I did, I know it's been spoken about already, but for those who don't know, Ms. Bowen is intending to have a state role in education funding event, I believe at the Ayers Rylside Civic Association. And I don't have that address right on top of my head. But, and I didn't know if this committee or this body would want to talk about how the school committee would or should or not participate. And that is my communication.
I think there might be some consideration for a quorum if we all go and speak. I think Ms. Bowen did maybe mention that in the invitation that she went out, that went out. That said, I do think it's a really important topic. So I do think if somebody wants to participate, there should be a way to make that happen. Ms. Frost.
And I think also we're families from Wenham also invited. So it wouldn't just be like, I mean, we're important, but so are they. So that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that would be the best venue to, you know what I mean, to turn it into something for us. I mean, except a great learning experience.
Mayor Cahill.
Well, yeah, I mean, she represents Beverly and Wenham, and she's holding the meeting to get input from all of us as to how she can help us through the budget process. So, I mean, if we think 5 or more of us are going to get up and speak substantively there, we could always post the meeting.
It. Yeah, I agree.
And you know, sometimes, I mean, maybe we get closer, well, we have the meeting in a couple weeks, maybe we just do a quick count at the next meeting as to who's planning to go to her.
I like that plan. And I think that makes sense. It's conservative, it checks all the boxes, and then it allows people, if we choose to participate, to go without concern or worry. What do you think, Ms. Frost? Is that microphone? There you go.
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know enough. And, you know, this is my first round in politics. I just, I know personally I'm going to listen and express concerns, but I'm not really sure how me learning but again, I'm not like, just please help us, please find some more funding.
Yeah.
I get how there's that feeling of wanting to cover your bases. I don't know, but I also like just think about like etiquette and like
Can I
there's
offer a
like law
suggestion?
and like manners, like that's her show. And like if she
I think she did. The invitation was there, and we were asked to come and participate. And she sort of in the invitation said, I realize this may create a quorum situation. In other words, the way I read that was, I'm asking you to come, but I recognize that you may have to check some boxes. How about I do this? Why don't I reach out to Alicia Mallon, our MASC representative, see if she thinks we need to post it. If we need to post it, I'll make that recommendation. Go ahead, Mayor Cahill.
I can save you a call.
Oh.
Maybe you want to reach out to the representative instead and just suggest, hey, a quorum or more of us may get up and speak. And would you mind if we scheduled a committee of the whole? And all we would need to do is call it to order. You know, I mean, we don't have to sit up and, just call it to order. Everybody sit in our seats. At the end, just don't forget to adjourn it. And in the meantime, if any of us want to talk about, how we want the legislature to act on a Chapter 70 rewrite or reform, what we might be asking them to do with, as I said earlier, with fair share overages between now and the end of the fiscal year that might help us out and teeing us up for next year. Things like that, we don't have to worry about too many of us speaking. And, it's not that hard, really.
Okay, I like that too.
I mean, she well knows how multiple member bodies work and
Yeah,
and
I know
covering,
she does, which is why-
making sure we're on the right side of the open meeting law.
I do not mind reaching out and asking that question at all.
Yeah, I would echo that. I would say just post it. Just post it
Okay.
as a meeting. I would make a motion. to
And
post
we think that, off the top of my head, I don't remember what that was, we think it's February 5th, but we have a meeting in between then and now. So I will endeavor to reach out to her to get some information, get her feedback, get her approval, et cetera. And then maybe we can put it on the agenda for that next meeting on the 28th to have a discussion around it. I'll let you guys know what I found out. We figure out how we're going to move forward, and then, does that sound good? Okay. Okay, cool. I think, unless there's anything else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of getting out of here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 8-0 today. It is 9:31 p.m. We thank those viewers at home as well as those that joined us in person and stayed the whole time. And thank you to BevCam. Thank you once again.